All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this started in just about 1 minute. All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Gary Sansing Public Forum. We're going to go ahead and call it to order. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Gary Sansing Public Forum is intended for matters not included on the agenda for the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meeting. Citizens wishing to address items on the agenda should sign up to speak to such items at the regular Board of County Commissioners meetings. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the Gary Sansing Public Forum. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, unless otherwise determined by the chairman, to allow sufficient time for all speakers. At the chairman's discretion, the Gary Sansing Public Forum may end 5 minutes prior to the scheduled start of the upcoming Board of County Commissioners meetings in order to allow the meeting to commence on time. We have 10 speakers tonight, so we're going to go ahead and go 3 minutes for everyone. 11, 12 speakers, still 3 minutes. All right, and we will start out this evening with Deanna Redleski, followed by Rhonda Wood. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Once again, I'm here to discuss the flooding in Biomarcus Creek Tributary B. The only questions I have tonight are, why are the projects not listed on the website? We need, pardon me, I just got in here, so I'm out of breath. Pontiac Drive project is not listed there, and we're watching that so we can see what happens on our creek.
I believe that's on our agenda tonight.
It is?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I was thinking about you and we talked about it this morning. All right, very good. Next up, Rhonda Wood, followed by Jerry Price.
Hi, Rhonda Wood, 7030 Nathan Road. District 1 and Commissioners, I've been coming to these meetings for a year now. Over and over, we talked to you about flooding and drainage issues. On more than one occasion, you've said that it's the #1 problem, but it's not a #1 priority. I've been flooding for many, many years, and after the most recent flooding in August of 2021, a county berm was put in next to me, which was very much appreciated. My fingers were crossed that it would keep the hurricane water away. Well, that's not going to happen. It didn't even take a major rain event to show the berm didn't work. The berm needs to be dug out again. It's filled with dirt and sediment. I've spent the last 2 weeks managing water that should be maintained by the property owners north of me, Packer Parkway, and the ballpark property. They should be held accountable to maintain their holding pond, and the county should be accountable for the drainage flooding our property on Nathan Road. Nathan Road has 19 residents on a quarter-mile road, and we need some kind of drainage designed, constructed. I live in the last house on a dead-end street. I can't redirect the water from the adjacent property down my street to add to the flooding of my neighbors' yards. If I redirect the water to the ballpark, it floods the backyards of the neighbors on my side of the street. Most of the water used to flow to the east, but with the ballpark grading work and added to the back of the park and a school, the water isn't going the way it used to. Instead, it floods my property and Nathan Road. This flooding also affects Tillman Road, Belgium Court. All of that is supposed to drain in the same area and eventually work its way to Weimar, a culvert crossing. Please allow enough funding in your budget to start and complete multiple project needs in this area. Band-Aids are not working. Now that the berm is proven not to work, I'm back to square one. I've said it before and will say it again. Drainage on Packer Parkway and Nathan Road, we need a ditch, a swale, or something. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Jerry Price, followed by Tony Ninivegi. I think I spelled that right. Good evening. Welcome. You're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys hearing me out this evening. The papers that are being passed out to you are about 11 pictures of the area around New Warrington Road and Mobile Highway, and it's a homeless situation and panhandling. It's more of the panhandling than the homeless. We've got the first picture that you guys are looking at is probably the worst of the worst. It's a person asleep in a lawn chair, and he's got a violent nature, obnoxious, and self-absorbed. He doesn't move off of that medium. I don't know, the police don't do anything about him. It's like the homeless have hands off. And I'm asking for a no panhandling ordinance. And Mr. Burgosh or Mr. Underhill or Mr. Berry or Mr. Bender, if you guys could give me an explanation of where you stand on how you feel about a no panhandling ordinance. That is my question.
Okay. We typically don't answer unless we're feeling
yes,
inclined
sir.
to. I know that you and I have spoken, but I don't see any lights on, so this is your time, so.
Okay. Whenever
Excuse
people,
me. Doug?
yes, sir.
So there will be a great opportunity to have exactly that, and you should know that, right? You shouldn't have to ask that. You should know what our positions are with regard to that. And it's my understanding that this evening, we're going to be dropping that item from the agenda, and we're going to put it on a committee of the whole. And what a committee of the whole does is it allows for a much longer, deeper dive discussion into a problem instead of the 3 to 5 minutes that we get to spend on it. So you should get that answer simply by attending that committee of the whole, and I think that'll satisfy what you're asking for. You're right, you deserve that.
Okay, thank you. The ordinance, if you guys decide to sit down and talk about it and try to do something with it, it's already been tested in Lee County, and the county attorney won for the ordinance. It's for you guys, I don't think it would be something that would cost the county a lot of money or any money. I think that it's something that could stand on its own, being tested in other counties. And on top of that, there's penalties for the driver and the panhandler in some of these counties. And I know you guys are probably more aware of them than a lot of people. A lot of things come across your desk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. Tony Ninivegi, followed by Shirley Piritz.
It's Tony Ninivagi.
Ninivage, okay,
I
sorry.
live in, I've never done this before, so bear with me. Got it. I brought a video.
Okay,
So I live in the Navy Point area. Underhill, Doug over here is my commissioner.
okay.
But I've been in my house for 22 years, and the whole neighborhood, we all help each other. And I have a lady that has bought the house next to me for 19 years ago. And I have no problem with the laws from code enforcement they have to follow. But I want to see if I could get a law passed to where instead of just cutting your grass and picking up some of the trash, that they would have to rake and clean the entire yard. I used to have little electric wire between my property and theirs so that my dogs wouldn't dig. I'd find snakes, mouse and rats on the wire, so I had to take it down. Their leaves are over 6 inches deep in their yard, and I have to call, I've been calling code enforcement since 2003, and I can only get the paper from 2011. They refuse to clean it. Hornets' nests are in the yard, in the ground, and I'm 65. I want to enjoy sitting in my yard. I can't do that. And it's the only property that we have a problem with. And you could see that's what's next door to me. And I've offered to help. I've offered to clean. Sergeant Bishop is doing what he can, but he can only do so much. The pictures that you have of the dogs, I've had 8 rescues that most of them are severe. And I figure this is their time not to be hurt anymore and enjoy their life, except now there's rats under their house, possums, cats. It's a pigsty.
Okay. It's a lot of issues. Our head of code enforcement happens to be here right now. I would suggest, Tim, could you speak with this gentleman after, or maybe outside? And
Okay, sure.
whatever we can do, you know, I mean, we want to help.
You know, I have an older neighbor, and I cut his lawn, and I don't mind, you know?
Yes, sir.
And I don't get paid for it, but this is what we do.
I appreciate you bringing the video.
all
Thank
right?
you.
Am I done?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You got overtime, actually, so you're welcome. All right. Shirley, you're up, followed by, Shirley.
While she pulls that up. Hi, my name is Shirley Peretz, and I live at 1385 Finley Drive. Thank you for having these public forums and giving us a way to speak. I am encouraged by the staff comments on the proposed Outpost Bayou rental complex. However, I would like to address buffer zones, namely that the proposed zone is too narrow at 15 feet to achieve the desired results. Goal number 1, an acoustic screen to reduce the noise of incompatible land use to a level where it will not be offensive to people living nearby. The width or depth of a buffer zone should bear relation to the loudness of the noise. 160 families can generate a lot of noise. Studies have shown that it is better to rely on distance than to count on plantings in reducing sound. If I could bring mention to the inverse square law, which states that the intensity of noise diminishes approximately as the square of the distance from the noise source. So 15 feet definitely does not look like it accomplishes that goal. Goal number 2, a visual screen to reduce sight lines of apartment dwellers to a level where it will not be offensive to people living nearby. How deep would the foliage have to be to achieve this goal? Deep enough to exploit the principles of perspective? What percentage of the total view should be cut off by trees and by fencing? Since most trees, when you think about it, are wider and deeper than 15 feet, will reducing the existing tree barrier to only 15 feet turn a workable, buffer zone into something splotchy with only a tree here or there? Goal number 3, a screen to reduce light trespass to a level where it will not be offensive to people living nearby. Single-family resident yards should not be lit up at night by lighting from an incompatible land use rental complex. How tall is the tallest light in each of the buffer zones? How bright? The taller and brighter the light, the taller and thicker the buffer needs to be to obscure the light. So in summary, the buffer should be sufficiently thick to serve as an acoustic screen, a visual screen, and a screen to obscure light. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Underwood?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anthony, I know that you've been speaking with Jonathan Owens about the issues you're having there in Navy Point. So if you could, when you're touching base with code enforcement, keep Jonathan in the loop on that, and that keeps me in the loop on it as well. I was going through the documentation, and it's a little incomplete, but that's okay. It's a good start for us to do what we need to do. So thank you.
I just wanted to wait till you folks were done.
Yep. So they'll hook up, and Jonathan will hook up with you as well. And we'll just let's keep the ball moving.
All right,
Thanks.
ladies and gentlemen, we're now up to 23 speakers, even considering the ones, so it's 2 minutes from this point forward, 2 minutes. No, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, Victoria Griffin, you're up. You'll have 2 minutes, followed by Shirley Stone.
I am opposed to the post Bayou. Still, the current plans for the east wet holding pond are not large enough for the 100-year flood event. The drainage would flood out my home, can cause considerable damage. The Wood Run subdivision has major flooding issues during heavy rainfalls that are still not corrected. I would think that this needs to be considered before any more issues are brought to our division. The erosion from more water flow downstream is also a huge problem. I've seen a lot of the yards in the back of some of the homes where they're being rotted away from the water, and all this extra water coming down from the wet holding pond can cause a lot more damage, and I really want that to be considered. The east holding pond also needs to be more west, away from residential areas, so that the water runoff will not cause further harm. Right now, it would back up directly behind my home. Also, I've noticed that when I brought up the information about the tree buffer zone, I realized that they're not even considering tree buffer zones by our home, by the holding pond. I think it should be in there. I think the additional from the 15 feet that the county owns, plus an additional 75 feet should be added on the tree buffer zones. Otherwise, what will end up happening is when they have the holding pond there, there's going to be like an alleyway of no trees, and the wind shear will just cause damage to our home. So I really would like to see a big, large buffer, considerably 75 to 90 feet there. Because it's not about the trees. I don't care about pine trees, but we need wind shear erosion control. Got no time left here, but the trees are needed for the soil erosion, wind break, and soil temperature, weather extremes, et cetera.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shirley Stone, followed by Barry Finch. Barry Finch, you're on deck. Good evening.
Hello. Name is Shirley Stone, Shepherd's Place Foundation Incorporated. I came before you guys in 2017, and I was granted startup funding through Commissioner Grover Robinson, who is now Mayor Robinson, and Commissioner Luma May. And we've grown now into 5 states and international. We do transitional services, which is housing, clothing, feeding, transporting, educating, and cleaning up the credit and putting up tiny homes, container homes, and looking for affordable housing for veterans, elderly people, men with children, women with children, anyone going through some type of transitional hardship. So in essence, what we're doing is we're coming to the county to ask that you all would consider looking at transitional services. I also started in Georgia. We service 300 clients in what we call a hotel homestay program, in which we ran a program out of a hotel. And basically, we're dealing with the Volunteers of America, and I'm going to let Roger come up and speak on that.
Ma'am, we don't cede time, so.
Okay,
yeah.
well, we'll just quickly go to it,
Yes,
and that's what we're doing. We're here to look for monies that would be able to support veterans, elderly, and be able to find affordable housing due to the COVID and a lot of other things that happened in the last 2 years. We have a lot of people that are basically out of a home because of
Yes, ma'am.
rental assistance being declined and people being evicted. So we have so many people with bad backgrounds coming out of some type of hardship, and we're looking to put up tiny homes out in the rural areas, and we'd like to go in depth with the county commissioners from each district because we're all one paycheck for being homeless, and we deal with the working homeless.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
Shirley,
pretty much
if he
it.
wants to go sign up, he can speak and get his own time for 2 minutes.
Okay, go sign up again.
Yeah, he needs to sign up
Yeah, he's gotta sign
individually.
up.
Yeah. So if he signs up, he can speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry Finch, followed by Stephen George.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Here we are again. I'm here with my neighbors to fight for my neighborhood and the other neighborhoods that surround the Outpost Bayou project. We will continue to come before you until we prevail because this project is not right for our neighborhood. It is not compatible with the character of the surrounding homes. The infrastructure cannot support a project of this size and density. This is the wrong project for this property. We requested a town hall meeting with the developer, but that was refused. And I understand that a representative from Hammond Engineering sometimes comes to these comment sessions, and yet, despite hearing our concerns, the project remains substantially unchanged from the original JoJo Townhomes proposal. A project by any other name is still the same. And now we have concerns that the latest proposal, that the retention ponds and the roads in the project will be private and will not be up to the standards to be deeded to the county. This is of great concern to us for future maintenance. An out-of-state developer hopes to make a lot of money at our expense, and in their wake, the Finley Drive neighbors will be left with mammoth buildings mere feet from their backyard and side yards, additional septic problems, and additional flooding. Wood Run neighbors will be at risk for worsened flooding, which is already a significant problem, requiring significant remediation. JoJo and West Side neighbors, which is where I live, will bear the brunt of a ridiculous amount of traffic, since the sole entrance to this project will be on JoJo Road.
Thank you, sir. That is the extent of your time.
Okay, thank you
sir.
very much.
Stephen George? Stephen George? Michelle Fulford. Are you Stephen?
Stephen George Brennan. I don't know if they...
Okay, I'm sorry. It just says Stephen George. You're recognized. Please come forward, followed by Michelle Fulford. She'll be next.
Can we swap? She go before me?
That's fine with me. I don't care. Michelle, you're up. Then you. Good evening. You're recognized.
Good evening. Clearly, we're both speaking about the same issue, the Perdido Key multifamily project. I understand that it's zoned commercial. I have been corrected on that point, so thank you, Commissioner Burgosh.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think the points that are very valid is that 325 apartments bring an additional easily 700 vehicles. Monterey Drive and Canal Drive are barely 20 feet wide. And there's a lot of homes that are pretty close to the road. So like you mentioned yesterday, potentially widening those roads, that's probably going to require eminent domain. Why doesn't the developer of 325 apartments have to find their own ingress and egress to said apartments without coming through our neighborhood? That in and of itself would solve it. The other thing I would like to say is I am a realtor. I realize there's a housing crisis. I realize people need a place to live, but it shouldn't be to our detriment. Sorrento Road is already a death trap.
We're working on that.
I know you are. Thank you. Thank you very much. But even though we're up to slot 8 on Sorrento Road, that still could take years. And the apartments, their build-out's about 2 years. That's the average. So they're going to be on that road potentially before Sorrento Road is even repaired. And our Canal Drive and Monterey Drive roads are much smaller than Sorrento. We can't handle that traffic. Was there a report done to see the impact of the traffic of 325 apartments?
Yes, ma'am. That was part of the process. When they reviewed the application. They do a
Depending upon
development
how
review.
things go today, because I can see I'm running out of time, could we potentially have another meeting on this matter?
You and I, of course.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, just
Okay.
call my office.
Thank you.
No problem. Absolutely. Stephen George, Stephen George Brennan, you're recognized?
Yeah. Only my mom calls me Stephen George, you know.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm here to talk about the same topic.
Yes,
Driving over Perdido Key Bridge not too long ago, looked to the right there, noticed what the heck's going on here, find out 325 apartments are going in there, much to my dismay that, the intersection there, Inverarity Point and Sorrento is can get pretty backed up, certainly during the tourist season. So it doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of traffic improvements there to improve the traffic flow when all those apartments are going to put in. Maybe there is, I'm not sure. I just learned about this form today, so I'm not as educated on all the permits and what has happened. Glad to learn that there was a study done, but
Yes.
maybe there wasn't. He's shaking his head that there wasn't one done. Doesn't seem like there was one done, given what the intersection looks like right now and the potential increase in traffic that's going to go in there. 350 apartments in that small little area, in that little intersection is going to be, or 325 is going to be, going to change the area quite a bit. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And for everyone's benefit, that's a 28-acre development. It was zoned commercial, and the owner of the property decided he wanted to develop it under the codes, and it met the code, the zoning, and the future land use. That's why a lot of people have asked, well, why did the planning board allow it? The planning board didn't even see it. It was an allowable use under the code. So I do understand it was well underway last year before it was part of my district. I inherited the project, but I am listening to the concerns. I've got all the backup. And Horace, would you please come forward? We're going to go ahead and take just a minute of personal privilege because we have a number of speakers on this topic. The Land Development Code, just explain briefly what we do when we in terms of looking at the traffic counts and stuff when we approve these.
Yes, sir. We have a transportation department who is part of our site plan review process. This project did come through the site plan review process. It met. We have transportation people, access management. They look at it, and they based upon the requirements of the Land Development Code and met all of those requirements of what was approved through the Land Development Code. Sure. That's why it was issued a development order based upon those regulations.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. So that's what happens. We've got parcels of land that people own, and it's zoned a certain way, and the owners of those properties are permitted to do things as long as they follow the rules, which I'm told this individual did. So it comes as a surprise to you all, and really in many respects it comes to us as a surprise to me. However, I've asked staff, and my understanding is they dotted every I and crossed the T's. But to your point about the traffic, this board, just at our last regular meeting, approved a $2 million expenditure that's going to shave about 5 years off of Sorrento Road. We also have the state out there right now doing a major safety project from Blue Angel all the way to Bauer. There's an intersection project that's going to be done in the next 4 months right there at the intersection of Innerarity Point. And also there's a roundabout that's just about to start construction at Perdido Key Drive and Johnson's Beach Road, and that's going to help keep the traffic flowing, prevent accidents. So there's a lot of work going. There's a lot more work we got to do, but you know, I understand the concern, but these folks follow the rules. It's private property. It's their right.
So it's zoned correctly and it's followed.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, it
thank
was.
you.
Yes, sir. Jimmy Shearhouse, followed by William Kidd.
Let's springboard back to your first meeting you had with us at the church.
Yes, sir.
And we talked about the intersection of Innerarity Road, Gulf Beach, Perdido Key, and Sorrento. Now we've impacted even worse with this new addition. Can you do another town hall where you come to the church again?
Of course I will, absolutely.
And set it up where we can have a discovery of what's going to happen, how the infrastructure is going to look long range? You said 4 months on Sorrento Road?
Whoa, what did I say?
You just said they were working on Sorrento Road, be done in 4 months?
No, I didn't. I don't know. FDOT. It's a state road. That's number
I'm
one.
Say it's a career.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
going on as a career, and if you got LDs on it, that'd be great because you're gonna make some money.
Yeah. No. I mean, but they've been working on it for a while, and I believe it will be done within
Anyway,
4 months. But we'll
back
see.
to subject. Let's schedule a town hall where the public can come sit, and we can understand how this ingress and egress is gonna work, because the Innerarity Road can't handle that. We got Redfish, we've just got built with 98 new places, and we need to be looking down the road long range, not 5 minutes.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. I have no problem doing that. I'll schedule one.
Please do that.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. William Kidd, followed by, no name on this. Don't know. You're right.
Good afternoon. My name is William Kidd. I live at 949 Osprey Court in Pensacola in the Innerarity Point area. This is about the 13450 Perdido Key Drive multifamily development. And my question that I had was about the actual zoning of the property. I've heard from previous discussion, it is zoned commercial.
Yes, it is.
I had seen that on the zoning map today. It seemed like at previous times I'd seen it listed as medium density residential. So the question would be, if it actually is commercial, was that something that happened a long time ago? And that would answer that. But why would the development permit list the property as being under medium density residential?
It doesn't, no.
Classification, but that's just an error.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, in 2015, Horace, will you please come forward again? Because again, my apologies to my counterparts, but it's important that we answer these questions just as they come up. Horace, was this one of those properties in 2015 when we did the
No, sir.
designations? Okay,
No,
so
sir,
this one's been
property-
commercial.
This property was originally zoned commercial, yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
This is the Director of Development, so
And I'd be
he
glad to
knows.
show you and get with you on it, yes, sir.
Fine, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, Anita Geinert, followed by Dr. Calvin Avant.
Hello, I'm Anita Gaynor, 1395 Finley Drive. I'm here opposing JoJo Townhomes, or whatever it's being called today.
Yep.
Give me just a second. Okay, so I'm going to pick up where Shirley and I were talking, and I'm going to talk about, how is that happening? I don't know why it's showing Shirley's, not mine, that I'm seeing on my screen, so let me just a second.
David, we might need some help. Hang on, can you stop her?
Yeah,
Liz.
stop my time,
Liz,
stop
will you
my
her
time.
just- We might, we got Peters coming up. Thank you, David. I think Peters, yeah.
I gotta back up my other thing, but it was on the front screen. Hold on a second.
Light motion.
Maybe. Let's see. Well, this was the same thing. Let's see here. All right, let me see if I can get it to go to the next slide. All right. All right. Okay. Can I start over now?
Please.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to talk about is dumpsters and mailboxes. For those of you that don't know, there is a large development coming in next to us, and we're assuming that it's going to be rental townhomes. Unfortunately, the zoning laws and such don't ask them what it is. It's a footprint. It can be 50 stories tall, it could be 2, it's the same approval. So we're going to assume that this is rentals and that they're going to be dumpsters. And so we're wanting to know, where are the dumpsters and the mailboxes going to be? So are they going to put them over by our houses? Because we found out that supposedly they're going to be 3 and 4 bedroom townhomes. And so assuming each one generates 5 or 10 bags of regular household garbage a week, that's a lot of garbage. That means that they're going to be, if they place them by us, we're going to have rats, smell, everything else. So we say, why don't you put it in the middle of their own development? That's number one. Number 2, roadways. So a property of this size, 162 townhomes, should only be allowed to come out on a major arterial drive. You shouldn't even allow it if there's not some way to get them out of that, as I've said before, the head of the pimple. So Escambia County conducted a traffic study. And this is on Tuesday, March 1st. And you see Finley Drive, we have 210 vehicles a day. We got 36 residences, 5.8 trips a residence. JoJo Road, 1,630. And you see, that's already, they're getting the Walmart cut through, you can see that. The West Side Drive, they get 1,632. Jernigan Road gets 8,548. That's a lot of traffic. And the traffic is not set up for that. So I say JoJo Road needs to be closed off. They shouldn't get any cut through, including me. I admit I cut through to Walmart. There you go. West Side should be upgraded to handle more traffic, since the planning and development already let Penn Air come in with the big building, 3 stories, right next 15 feet from people. So they need to do that. And then Jernigan needs a shoulder, sidewalks, and a bike lane.
Anita, that's your time.
Oh.
I appreciate you being here. Sorry,
Okay, hang on.
2 minutes goes quick.
I know.
Dr. Avant, you're up.
Hang on a second. I got to figure out how to close it out.
All right. Followed by Chris Kerb.
See the jogger?
Anita, is there someone else doing any of this presentation?
Say what?
Is there someone else doing part of this
No,
presentation?
that was all.
Okay.
Me and Shirley just did our notes because we can never read them all.
All right,
We can't
thanks.
see.
All right, Dr. Avant. Good
Good
evening.
afternoon. I'd like to first ask a question. How many of you have heard of Justice 40? Justice 40, for the first time in our nation's history, the federal government has made it a goal that 40% of overall benefits of certain federal investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized, underserved, overburdened by pollution. President Biden made this historic commitment when he signed Executive Order 14008 within days of taking office. And what it is for environmental justice communities. If they fall under a certain category, they're eligible for this 40% that they're talking about taking from certain agencies. And those categories are climate change, clean energy and energy efficiency, clean transit, affordable and sustainable housing, training and workforce development, remediation and reduction of legacy pollution, development of critical clean water and wastewater infrastructure. And the funding will be coming from the Inflation Reduction Act, bipartisan infrastructure law, and American Rescue Plan. And said that the federal government is ready to give this money, and we need your help. It'll be coming out from the Department of Agriculture, Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security and FEMA, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Interior, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Labor, Department of Transportation, Department of Veterans Affairs, Environmental Protection Agency, the National Institute of Health, and the National Institute of Environmental Health Science. But we can't apply for it. You can. We need your help in order to be able to apply for these things. I'm working with a group out in New Orleans, the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, and Dr. Robert Bullitt, Texas Southern University, and Peggy Shepard with WEAC.
Thank you. We will look into this. Your time has expired. Thank you.
Question for Dr. Avent.
All right. Yes.
Dr. Avent, I despise the word environmental racism because it's just fraught with so many emotional things. But the only thing worse than the word is the fact that it has to exist. Wedgwood and the Rolling Hills dump remains the single biggest example, and really the example that in my life changed my attitude about that word. So perhaps this would be an opportunity for us to right some of the wrongs that were done there. So if you want to get on my calendar, I'd very much like to talk to you about what we could, I'm deeply concerned about what the federal government's doing with the handouts and whatnot. But if we can use that money to right some of the traditional wrongs in Rolling Hills and Wedgwood, you got my support. So.
Thank you.
Chris Kerb, you're recognized, followed by Lisa Hudson. Lisa Hudson, you're on deck.
Well, how you follow that, all that money coming down, there's a lot of money available. I was going to talk about protect, but let's talk about invest. In order to get that money, you have to apply for it, and you got to have staff to go get it. Usually that requires match funding. Your budgets right now don't have a lot of flexibility as far as drainage is concerned. I mentioned one time about raising or restoring your mill rate. I'm not going to do that. So maybe you could increase your drainage impact fees or start a step process based off the new statutes that were passed on impact fees. Or maybe you could take your, what was it, about $30 million of Commissioner LST discretionary funds and throw it into your drainage program and do priority projects first. I think that would be some things that you could get some of that money, because there's a lot of money out there available. I'll go back to protect, which was I was going to talk on originally. This morning I heard y'all discussing about what Santa Rosa County's doing, changing their land development code to adopt NOAA Atlas 14, which is to get rid of obsolete rainfall data use. I sent Joy an email this morning about that, and I copied a couple of commissioners. As it relates to the, what are they calling it now, Outpost Project?
Outpost Bayou.
So, well, I mean, it keeps naming different things, but that's a good example. Watershed approach is what you need to start looking at doing. You have a whole basin there that extends all the way across the Scenic Hills Country Club that also has problems. So look at it from a watershed approach is the way to fix this problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Hudson, followed by Norman Jeter. Norman Jeter, you're on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Lisa Hudson. I live at 1234 Finley Drive in Pensacola, and I would like to speak about the proposed outpost. Bayou Rentals, JoJo, whatever they want to call it these days, they keep changing it, and addressing the stormwater issues. The proposed retention ponds are designed using obsolete 1960 rainfalls. As we know, the NOAA 2014 data shows that the rainfall from the 24-hour storm event has increased by 13.5 inches to over 16 inches. This is an increase of over 20%. We encourage Escambia County to follow the direction of the state of Florida legislation, headed to follow a watershed approach to stormwater management. This approach means that concerns of the retention pond sizing are broader than looking at which of our adjacent neighborhoods will be flooded. This approach looks downstream to not only the Woodrun subdivision, but also Scenic Hills, which has also been mentioned previously by other people here tonight, and to the other neighborhoods in this watershed basin. Since we understand that the FDOT drainage manual already references the NOAA Atlas 14 as a resource, please direct staff to update the appropriate manuals and protocols, and to make sure that the proposed rental complex adheres to the newer NOAA 2014 rate data. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Norman Jeter, followed by Kenny Vetchik. Kenny Vetchik. Yep, you're on deck. Norman Jeter, you're recognized. Yeah.
I may be a little uninformed.
There's no time
actually.
like the present.
I didn't know I was going to speak until just here recently. Can you put me off of a few folks, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that fine? Thank
That's
you very
fine.
much.
So, Kenny, you're on the hot seat. You're up.
I am up. Ken Vichek in Rarity Point, adding on to the issue of the Perdido Key multifamily project. Says 300 million people are going to be coming in there. Is it possible to meet with the county engineers that have looked at the study and basically said, yeah, this meets the criteria for county rules?
Sure. Staff can probably, I don't see Horace sitting over there, but.
Okay, but maybe later on, not tonight.
Yeah.
And also to get a copy, look at the copy of this study done, so we can look.
It's not a study, it's a checklist, and they go through and then they look at it and compare it. But whatever they have, it's all, we're Sunshine State. You can get whatever, it's all public record.
And I don't know how to do that, but basically, maybe give me a phone number, a name, or somebody to talk to, but tonight, and then set something up, because whatever process they went through, when you look at what's there, this is insane. I mean, it may have fit all the criteria in the checklist, but it's a disaster for Rarity Point. So I'm not trying to make somebody a bad guy, but if I can just somehow talk to somebody offline or some of my neighbors.
Yeah. As soon as, I don't see Horace in the audience, but someone from staff will contact you. Did you fill out a form? Did you leave your phone number when you filled out the form? Okay, never mind. Tim Day right here is going to get your information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Brian Wire, followed by, Dr. Oleski is here. Dr. Oleski, you'll be up next. I didn't see you. Brian Wire, good evening, welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I just wanted to give you a reminder of the Office of Supplier Diversity event we're having September 22nd. We're still pulling together the registration details for that, but I just wanted to pass out a packet with you some information.
Okay.
The first page just shows you that Northwest Florida has the lowest amount of certified minority vendors in the entire state. We're at 8% compared to other ones in the double digits and in 20 numbers. And also, I had a sheet behind that one showing some of the details that we had. In 2021, our Supplier Diversity event was one of only 2 in the entire state. We were the first one to have a virtual event. We had over 10 different agencies, more than Tallahassee, and over 30 different agencies, attendees that attended that event. So in the past, we've been very successful with having our events. In 2019, overall, we had the most successful event across the entire state. And you look at that list, you'll see Orlando, Broward, Tallahassee, Gainesville, and Tampa. We had 95% of our attendees said our event was beneficial. It's an amount that's 5% more than any other of the events taking place across the entire state. When you put everything in perspective, I wanted to share you also that we had $12 billion that was spent by the state on agencies, and the certified businesses only got about $54 million of that. The non-certified agencies received $1.5 billion. Nonprofits received $333 million, and other businesses received $10 billion. So as a state, our certified businesses are not, minority businesses are not getting a good share of what's available out there. This event would give people an opportunity to come to it, meet with the purchasing managers and directors in charge of those state agencies, and hopefully get bids and contracts. I also want to thank Jeffrey Levengood and his department. They're going to be there at the event hosting a table and also possibly being involved in a panel discussion. And they're really working closely with us to try to help improve some of the things we're doing in our area for minority businesses and small businesses. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know later, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. If not, I just want to invite you to it. And we'll be passing information out to the Public Relations Department and Communications team soon for the county.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wire. I certainly appreciate it. And Mr. Chairman, I would love to add to the next committee of the whole. I've certainly been an advocate for the Gulf Coast African American Chamber and Florida West. I certainly want to see West the matrix of the last 5 years of investment of where we are. And Brian's absolutely right. I mean, you know, we've done very poorly, but we've had an investment. So I want our procurement office, I want the Minority Gulf Coast Chamber, and I want Florida West to be on the agenda to talk to me about minority procurement and where we've been in the last. I know that I've sat here and funded it for the last 6 years. I want to know the matrix from the last 6 years.
I got the ugly raw data here, and I can provide a better format for it. It's not too easy to obtain, but I have some data here that will open all of our eyes. I was surprised actually what I saw.
Right. And no, Brian, and certainly, I mean, this is not the meeting. He has a lot of speakers, but certainly, I know Commissioner Berry's certainly supported me through the Economic Development Chamber in Century, and I think that we've done with Florida West and with you. So we have to certainly recognize the ROI, and if we're not making improvements, then what should we do better? But I certainly think that we need to have that conversation with our procurement office.
I'll be happy to have that and be involved as part of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wire.
All right. Dr. Oleski, our medical examiner, is here this evening. Dr. Oleski, thanks for being here. You're recognized. Now, we did have an item that we were going to discuss, but we dropped it, so I think this is appropriate to recognize our medical examiner here.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having me here. I just want to talk to you about last week. So last week on August 24th, Wednesday morning, I got a phone call from a little birdie at Sacred Heart calling my staff saying that Eric Gilmore and some guy from the county were here to talk to Dawn and come visit our facility down in the medical examiner's office. Well, it was interesting. I wasn't invited to this discussion with my landlord and with the county and my board member. So I decided to come and wait to see when they were going to come down and visit us. I waited in the viewing room. So I was told that they didn't come down. I actually waited for about 2.5 hours, and then I had court. I was doing some work and getting to know my staff a little bit better. While I was down there waiting, I heard that the reason why they didn't want to come down was because they saw the viewing room 5 years ago. Well, this is the viewing room on the left right now. On the right is actually my conference room. I have 5 people in the viewing room, 4 people in the viewing room, and it's currently being used as an office. I can't believe that somebody would try to assume that how we work and what we do and what we need is based off on seeing a viewing room from 5 years ago. On Monday, I had a doctor working, and she had about 15 cases to do. I had Dr. Lopez, my associate medical examiner, doing 2 cases that were homicides and a law enforcement involved, and there was a baby. Unfortunately, because we only had 12 tables, two areas to work in, I could not actually do the baby. I had to roll over that poor child to Tuesday, and that baby could not go home on Monday to have their service. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oleski. Lorraine Lopez Morel, followed by Charles Luther.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lorraine Lopez. I'm the new Associate Medical Examiner for District 1. I'm here on behalf of the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office. I just want to talk about why I became a medical examiner. My father died when I was 4. I made it my life's mission to find out why. And in studying for 14 years and becoming a medical examiner, that question was answered, but it then became my mission to do the same for other families. In order for me to do that job, I need your help. We need your support for you to meet the promises that were made years ago and give us the adequate support that we need. If that is not met, I can move on. I have packing boxes still in my apartment, and I can still find a new job somewhere else that will provide the adequate support that I need. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we're working on a solution.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Lorraine, Dr. Morrell. So is that solution, what is that solution?
Well, we've been talking about it for years now. The solution is a new facility. Plain
Okay.
and simple.
All right, okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Charles Luther, followed by Reverend Carrie Brown.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
A big change of subject, but we're increasingly seeing in this county, as my family and I are residents here, that more and more Christians, at least professing Christians, are giving their nod of affirmation to the murder of the preborn and also to the homosex activity and just the acceptance of homosex lifestyle. And we're on the heels of San Francisco. And we don't live in a bubble. I think you all are aware of that. And so the problems that you see in San Francisco are just ahead of us because of the acceptance of the sins that they have become notorious for. As far as professing Christians go, Christ himself said, "Whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him the Son of Man will be ashamed also when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." You know, he has given his word, and he says the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God. Do not be deceived. No fornicators, no idolaters, no adulterers, no passive participants in homosex, no active participants in homosex, no thieves, no covetous, no drunkards, no revilers, no extortioners will inherit the kingdom of God. And such were some of you. But ye are washed, but ye were sanctified, but ye were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus and by the Spirit of our God. That was 1 Corinthians 6. Romans 1 says, God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust for one another.
Thank you, Mr. Luther. Reverend Carrie Brown, followed by Josiah Luther.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Carrie Brown. I live at 708 Baker Street in Wedgewood Subdivision. And I'm here this evening to talk about the pending holding pond that will be placed in our community. I've been told that it will be on the site where the old school sat. My concern is, the first concern is our community. The residents have not been notified about this particular pond that you are going to put in our community. Another concern I have is we were told by Mr. Kirchenfield that you're going to put a sports complex there. How can a sports complex and a holding pond occupy the same space because of the water retention and all of that? My next concern is, where will this water be coming from? What locations will this water be coming from? We have the pit that we just got closed a few years ago. Now, that's going to create another problem, I think, with the water soaking in there with mosquitoes and everything. So why are you putting a holding pond in our community is my concern. Also, I think I mentioned the water quality, where it's going to be coming from and all of that. We don't need any more of this in our community. So I ask you to please have a meeting with the residents of Wedgewood community and the Rolling Hills and Olive Heights communities and discuss it with us, and let's go forward from there. Because if you put a holding pond out there, you got to have something to barricade it to keep the kids from going in it. How can you barricade it if you're going to put a sports complex there? I don't think this has been thought out carefully. So if you would, if we can have a meeting with the community residents, Commissioner May, our commissioner, and let us know what you have planned for our community. Thank you.
Chips, are you, Ms. Brown? Ms. Brown, it's just untrue for anybody to say any decisions have been made because I don't know. You talked to Mr. Chip Kirstenfield. I don't know.
I said proposed.
Proposed. Yeah, all the decisions get made here, and so we've known each other long enough to know the decisions don't get made before I go to the public and to the community.
All right.
And so I would talk to Chips. I mean, one thing we are going to do is address flooding, and as you know, we spend a ton of money in Wedgwood, and I'm going to continue to do that. But we're not going to do anything that's going to be adverse to Wedgwood in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So I get with Chip. I would just explain to her nothing has been set in stone. Everything is just talked about. So
he explained that to me also.
Yeah. No one's made any decisions.
Okay.
So if anyone said that, it's just untrue.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
All right, and ladies and
Appreciate you.
Before our next speakers come up, I just want to let you know we're back up to about 30 speakers. So our meeting will be about an hour delayed. We're going to go through and make sure everyone gets their opportunity to speak, but that's the reason why we have a tremendous number of speakers tonight. So next up is Josiah Luther, followed by Gene Brown.
God commands leaders to rescue the weak and needy and deliver them out of the hand of the wicked. Is this God-ordained duty irrelevant because a tyrannical government has ruled it moral to kill preborn children? If you believed God's word, then you would know that his truth is not private truth, but ultimate and universal truth. Christ is not a private Lord. Christ is Lord of all. And when you separate Christ from the state, you betroth it to hell. You have a duty before God to serve the people with his truth and with his justice. Will you fulfill that duty? Will you say with the apostles, we ought to obey God rather than men? Or will you, like the Pharisees, fulfill the prophecy of Isaiah, which says, "This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me, and their reverence for me consists of the commandments of men"? God says in Ezekiel, "The people have practiced extortion and committed robbery, and they have oppressed the poor and needy, and have oppressed the stranger without justice. I searched for a man among them who would build up a wall and stand in the gap before me for the land, so that I would not destroy it. But I found no one." Will any of you stand up in the gap against tyranny, or will you continue pretending that the fear of the Lord is to follow man's law and ignore God's law? We the people call for you and the other commissioners to answer. Will you stand in the gap?
Thank you. Gene Brown, followed by Alicia Winburn. Alicia Winburn, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. I am Jean Brown of 1475 Finley Drive for 54 years. I oppose Outpost Bayou. Where are the residents of Outpost Bayou going to park their cars and trucks? There are 162 townhomes. 2 parking spaces are required by the LDC for each dwelling unit. Most households have at least 2 cars. There is no parking lot on the 22 acres. Not a single lot, not a single space. The only parking spaces are the garage, driveway, and the forbidden street parking. Will the residents ever have guests? Where will they park? Most of the lots, 73% of them, are 20 feet wide. There's a 20-foot front setback. This would be giving it a Target parking lot type look with a line of 40 parking pads on the west boundary. There will be some parking in the street, I feel sure. Will it be a 20-foot long pickup truck, which will block the entire driveway or the entire lot, plus part of the next door neighbors? A 14-foot car or a 16-foot minivan blocks as well. There are 90 units with a driveway facing a driveway. On-street parking here blocks driveways and traps residents. This morning, we saw proposed elevation drawings for the first time. The units are 2-story with a single-space garage, 1 garage space plus 1 driveway space. Cars will be leapfrogging each other to get from the car to the street back to the garage. Garages frequently are used for storage, not for parking. Street parking is dangerous for other drivers. Parking can only be in the garage or the driveway. Staff comments say that fire department access roads shall not be obstructed in any manner, including by the parking of vehicles. When the infrequent emergency vehicle comes through, it becomes a crisis. How will this impact the area? Will people park maybe on Finley, on JoJo? Maybe they'll drive over Outpost Bayou over to the wet detention pond or the wetlands in the buffer zone? You know residents and visitors have to park. The safety of the residents and the neighbors must be considered. Allow for overflow parking, or Outpost Bayou will be filled with parked cars that have not been properly planned for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Winburn? Hello.
Good evening. You already know about the important and sometimes thankless work that Dr. Oleski and her team do in terms of telling the stories of the dead. But I want to talk to you tonight about some equally important work that they do for the living. I'm a forensic anthropologist, which means that I'm an expert in human skeletal variation, and I use my knowledge of the human skeleton to inform human identifications and understandings of the circumstances of death. Careers like this are very popular among our young Pensacola residents. Forensic science careers are incredibly popular, but where are these young Pensacolans supposed to get hands-on experience like that? And the answer is with Dr. Oleski and her team. District 1 Medical Examiner's Office actually has a vibrant and active and long-standing internship program where they welcome dozens of young Pensacolans into the morgue, into the field, into investigations, and they actually give them that hands-on training. And many of them are then hired directly into forensic science careers from those internship experiences. And so I think they're sort of unsung heroes of the workforce as well, because if we can leverage the interest that young Pensacolans have in the forensic sciences into getting them actual meaningful careers in the forensic sciences, I think that's a triumph. And I think that's something that the District Medical Examiner's Office is well poised to do. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Caleb Anderson, followed by Billy Snowden. Caleb Anderson. Okay, Billy Anderson, or I'm sorry, Billy Snowden.
Yes, sir. I am here on behalf of Dr. Oleski's office, District 1 Medical Examiner's Office. I am maybe one of, you may say the least, but I bring in the decedents from all over the county or different counties. When you enter into a place like District 1 Medical Examiner's Office, you enter to a very peculiar place. Let's say you come in and it's quite small there. I bring in your loved ones. I deal with them from a place of love, home, streets, different places. But when you come in, wouldn't you like your loved one to be single in a place where you know that they're alone and not sitting in a place where they may have to be stacked? A floor that's clean, a place where someone loves your loved one, takes care of them to find what actually happened to your loved one. Well, this crew at District 1 Medical Examiner's Office, they really care. They give a darn. And you have to give a darn about others. People are someone's loved one, dead or alive. And I must tell you that I believe that their spirit is still there. I believe that God watches over them. But I give a darn enough to let you know that if they don't have space, a place where they can do their job properly, then there could be any kind of contamination, stacking of bodies. We need your support, the part that you don't see. Everyone in this room has a loved one. And if I was deceased today, I would want someone like Dr. Oleski, who cares for me, who wants a facility where I can be taken care of, or someone wants to learn and have a better career. God bless you, panel. Care for someone today.
Thank you. Okay, excuse me. All right, thank you. Dan Schiebler, followed by Caleb Anderson. Is Caleb Anderson back? Yeah, okay, all right, you'll be up after Dan Schiebler. Dan, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I understand our agenda item has been pulled?
Yep.
Okay. I heard some of it. The audio is still, I know, being upgraded and improved, but I look forward to hearing the rest of the discussion this morning. I was able to watch most of it. We also had some meetings with Sacred Heart leadership and understand that there's some short-term Band-Aid solutions that are going to come into play, which I think are critical to keeping our operations safe and respectful, as Billy just talked about, for the next 2 years. But there is a timeline here that is important that we have to remember. The long-term solution that I think is being considered at Sacred Heart, I understand deserves some due diligence and exploration, and we're ready to do that. I understand there's still a decision to be made, I think, either at the local level and at the corporate level for Sacred Heart. But time is of the essence. We talked about several weeks ago. We've been talking about this evolution of the medical examiner facility for years now, and it's been on the agenda and on the scope for the last 8 years in this district. So what I'm asking for as soon as possible is action, an action agenda item by this board that was asked for by our state senator 6 weeks ago, and we have yet to have a vote, and I would ask that respectfully that be put on the next agenda as soon as possible.
Thank you. Caleb? Caleb Anderson, followed by Alicia Winburn. Was it her?
Hi there. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak. My name is Caleb. I work very closely with District 1 and the Sheriff's Office. They do an excellent job keeping up with everyone, helping out the community. So we do body transport for them. And the problems they're running into, kind of like Billy and Dr. O mentioned, they need a solution. And we see it every day. And if something's not done, you know, there could be problems down the road. And there's talk about moving it to Santa Rosa. And we do a lot of different funeral home transports as well. Having a good centralized location, maybe not just Escambia, but Santa Rosa, logistically would really help us out a lot. And we'd also be willing to lease some of the land to offset some of the costs there to help out District 1 and make this transition successful. But we see the problems that are happening here, and if something isn't done, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm hoping that you guys will consider helping out the community, helping out District 1, and see what you can make happen. So I appreciate the time, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, sir. Claire Kirschar, followed by Jane Wilhilt.
Good evening. My name is Claire Kirschar. I'm Associate Director of Escambia County Healthy Start Coalition. I'm accompanied by Allison Anderson, our Executive Director. Our mission is to improve the health and well-being of pregnant women and babies through community partnerships. And the District 1 Medical Examiner is one such community partner we're grateful to have, and I wanted to speak to a little bit of how we work with them. One of our programs is the Fetal and Infant Mortality Review, but we seek to look at the causes of stillborn infant death in our community. So we have about 20-something infant deaths in Escambia County every year. It's one of the highest in the state, unfortunately. About 30% of these we find to be sleep-related deaths, so there was some sort of unsafe sleep element in that environment. It's standard practice for the ME's office to review and investigate these cases, but what's not standard that they do is what you call a sudden unexpected infant death form. This is something that some states mandate, ours does not, but it allows you to collect a lot of critical information about the case. Our office chooses to do that out of just knowing the critical information we can collect from that form that then can inform interventions to know how do we prevent future deaths from happening. They also work with our Child Abuse Death Review Program, which does similar work. The ME's office is currently doing so much community work that we haven't always had because they know the loss of a child in our community is a tragedy, and whatever work can be done to know more and then do more is critical. We also have a bereavement program to provide memory boxes for those families suffering from a loss. These are distributed along with a bereavement resource guide. The ME's office has begun keeping these in their office so they can hand them directly to families after a loss. So the Escambia County Healthy Start, we're such a proud partner of them because we know that we can count on them to help our families in these tragic times. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Jane Willett, followed by Janelle Varnadore.
Good evening. My name is Jane Wilhoit.
Sorry.
My husband's German, not me. I am actually here to speak on behalf of supporting the medical examiner's office as well. It is so far-reaching when you consider the growth in medicine in this community, state-of-the-art medicine in Pensacola. The medical examiner's office is vital in that arena. If you think about your community, your families, organ, tissue, and eye donation, for example. I mean, we have a transplant program here in Pensacola now, unheard of for a city this size to have a transplant program. Organ, tissue, and eye donation does not happen without the medical examiner supporting it. They cannot work without an appropriate area. It has a huge impact on the community. For example, if a family, as the doctor relayed, if a family, if autopsies are delayed, that family is waiting for that autopsy, and that impacts that family in an organ, tissue, and eye donation arena. They've already just faced the most tragic, unexpected death of their life, and now we add on to that by having autopsies being delayed, so families are in jeopardy. I beg you to please support their incredible work. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Janelle Varnadore, followed by George Helmer.
So I also work for the medical examiner's office. And when your loved one passes, you should want them to be in the best care. And we are the ones that are handling your loved one's care. And we're also trying to find the truth. In fact, we handle every cremation request within this county and 3 others. And that means that we're making sure that the doctors providing the cause of death are being held accountable. Imagine that your loved one had a fall, and then they slowly declined and then passed, but then the doctor only put cardiac arrest. Is that fair to your loved one? We don't think so. Because we believe that your loved one deserves the truth. And it's our office that is taking care of that and telling the truth for your loved one. They deserve to be respected before and after death. I was also an intern, and I'm one of the people that Dr. Winburn talked about where I got a job. But I didn't just get a job, I got a career in a place that they actually want to help me learn more and be able to move my career further. And if that's not going to be possible without the best facility possible. So we need a facility that is going to help our community because we are part of the community. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. George Helmer, followed by John Kramer.
Good afternoon. I come to you as a critical care nurse who just recently moved down here from the Detroit metropolitan area. So a larger city surrounded by many suburbs. Pensacola is growing in leaps and bounds. I think that's very, very clear. Additionally, you have 2 level 1 trauma centers in this city alone, making you a magnet for everyone around us, especially Coast Guard training, naval training, things like that, the beaches, the tourists. The one thing you do not have is the infrastructure in your medical examiner. The current situation is not large enough for a city that is growing. It is not adequate for the city size you already have. You need to invest in the infrastructure. We don't wait for a bridge to collapse before we have meetings about replacing it. We need to be forward thinking. Pensacola has to grow. We cannot just wait for Pensacola to fall apart and then decide to move forward with it. I know that there's 4 counties trying to figure out how they're all going to fund this. And I'm sure it's a quagmire of who wants to pay for what. But if Escambia wants it to stay in Escambia County or Pensacola or anywhere near this area, then they need to put the foot down and get things moving. Pushing the ball to the next administration is not a way for us to succeed. It's just stagnation. Thank you.
Thank you. John Kramer, followed by Angela Walling.
Good afternoon. I'm John Kramer. I'm a Pensacola police officer, detective. I've been employed with them for 16 years. Throughout my career, working with the medical examiner's office, and recently with Dr. Oleski. Countless times I've been to autopsies, and oftentimes I've walked in and even up to 10 years ago said, you guys need a bigger building. There's that many people in there. But with that said, Dr. O is very important to the Pensacola Police Department and us working side by side with them, and she has single-handedly helped us solve many, many murders that on face value you would have thought it was medical. People would have gotten away with it. So just keep that in consideration for Dr. O. If she says she needs a building, she needs a building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Angela Walling, followed by Tina Melder.
Hi, my name is Angelina. I work for District 1 Medical Examiner's Office. One of my most impactful days at the medical examiners began when I missed going to the gym before work. As I went inside the office to clock in, I held the door open for a family who had lost a woman who was a sister, a daughter, and a teacher and an important part of our community. As my gym bag sat by my desk, I learned the gym I had been going to since I was 13 was closed today because this same woman had been shot there earlier that morning around the same time I usually go. She had been a victim of domestic violence, which only saddened me more since I used to volunteer at the Favor House in Northwest Florida that helps support women who go through what this woman had experienced and was unfortunately unable to escape. I have grown up here in Escambia County for the last 20 years and have seen what a great community we have. Working at the medical examiner's office has made me aware of the number of homicides, suicides, and overdoses that occur in Escambia County. The morgue staff is currently located in a small morgue on a separate site from the office where the doctors, forensic investigators, and administration team work. Our disconnection keeps us from having an effective flow of communication between the two sites along with forensic investigators while they're in the field. The priority for a space where our medical examiners can work and effectively communicate grows with the number of cases that we take, which is rising because of the drastic population growth. The first thing I do upon coming into work is prepare the files for the new decedents in the morgue and witness how many people in our local community have passed overnight. We do our best to assist all family and loved ones of the decedents to serve the members of Escambia County and our entire district to our best ability with what facilities we do have. But we would thrive and be better and able to serve our district with a larger facility.
Thank you. Tina Melder, followed by Simon Iacchini. Good evening. Thank you. You're recognized.
Good evening. My name's Tina Melder. I work for Legacy Donor Services. We take care of your tissue donation in the area. As Jane Wilhoit said, donation, organ, tissue, and eye is one of the things in our area that gives life to the death. Dr. Oleski is a champion for donation. Not sure if you guys are aware, but for medical examiners, they have to give permission for their decedents to be donors, and some don't. We work in the entire state of Florida for different reasons, for timing, just legality. She goes above and beyond. If we can make it happen, if she can make it happen, she does it. Now, as she said that she had to wait on a baby that she had, time is always an issue. 24 hours from the time of death is what you have for tissue and eye donation. And they are already, overrun. They're running out of space. When I started working in donation almost 10 years ago, they were out of space then. Our area has grown and is only going to continue to grow. People are coming here because of how wonderful our area is, and we need to serve it in the way that we can. Dr. Oleski is a powerhouse. We are so lucky to have her here fighting for our families, working with our law enforcement, being a champion of donation. It doesn't only benefit the people who are receiving the tissue and organs and corneas. it greatly benefits the families that have lost their loved ones. It's completely full circle. In several of our medical examiners' offices in the lower and different parts of Florida, we actually have a surgical center on site. That's something, if they had land, that we could lease from them and build and be able to give them something back also.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Simon Iacchini. Simon Iacchini. Timothy Greer, followed by Larry Downs Jr.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm going to try my best to be very brief. I want to just tell you guys, you have an awesome position, and I pray grace be on you. I hear a lot of foolishness coming across this stage, but I just wanted to let you know that Dr. Avan has already spoken on Justice 40. Ms. Brown has come up and talked to you about what's going on in Wedgewood, Olive Heights, and Wedgewood community. My concern that I have is about the permits. Where are we on the permits with Eagle Beaver? I know last year, I think it's coming up on a year now, where we stopped and we said they're going to grandfather them in or hold them off until we do a study. So we've been working with the ad hoc committee trying to see if we can bring some closure to that. The other thing is that I realize that I'm in District 1, and my concern is Detroit and Pine Forest Road, where the interstate and 9 Mile Road. When I was on the CAC board before I was relieved from that position, I addressed an issue about will they 4-lane Pine Forest Road because of the traffic. Now, as I see the development going on over in that area, I don't think that's going to be able to handle the traffic. And I just want to know what y'all thoughts were. I know that's part of District 1.
Yes, sir. Well, that's one of the top priorities in the TPO. We're pushing that forward, adding the 4th lane on, I know you're talking about between 9 Mile Road and the interstate. It's been a pinch point for a long time. That's moving. That's moving, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Appreciate you bringing it up.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Larry Downs Jr., followed by Roger Coleman.
Larry Downs Jr., how y'all doing today?
Great.
Holy moly. Well, I feel just like the gentleman who just came up before me. I feel for y'all. You know, I mean, this is rough. More and more and more. Free stuff, more government. That one fellow who mentioned all those government departments where all that free money's going to come, you know, get it. That's going across the country. The medical examiner's office, that would be, hopefully they're checking to see if any of these new deaths are related to the vaccine. That would be did I get a laugh or a sigh? Anyways, because there's got to be, you know, I mean, there's got to be. And remember whenever the deaths for COVID, I know, I'm out of line.
No, you can
They
say
were
what you want.
coded, they were coded COVID deaths, even though they were 98 years old, 3 points, whatever, comorbidities, and they were coded that. So, you know, this narrative was pushed upon us, and everybody had to believe it. Maybe, just maybe, this medical examiner could shed some light on a little bit about what's going on and what did go on, because I'm sure Lumen knows that we buried a good friend of ours a couple of weeks ago, and he had the magical 3-dose program, and it was a major stroke caused it after 5 weeks after the Moderna jab, and the doctors tell me, nurses, all of them, doesn't have anything to do with the jab. I said, how do you know? How do you know? Who's gonna find out? All right, adios.
Adios. Roger Coleman, followed by Deborah Spence.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Roger Coleman. I'm Program Manager at Volunteers of America. We run a facility at 1617, 1622 Blackwell Lane. We have a 30-unit facility for homeless veterans. My job is to run the facility with behavioral health care, caseworker, job finder, permanent house finder. We work closely with the VA. We partner with Shepherd's Place. We do not have enough room in our facility for the amount of homeless veterans that's in the area. And they're coming in every day. I get 4 or 5 calls a day of veterans trying to find a place to stay. We need help with Shepherd's Place because they have a program called a hotel homestay where we can put not only homeless veterans, but homeless people that have jobs and trying to get back on their feet, give them a place to stay and to get their lives together. I can only house 30 people. I have 30 individual units. For me, I am a veteran myself, so veterans are dear to my heart. So my desire is for veterans. I know we have a problem with the homeless population in Pensacola, but we also have a problem with homeless veterans in Pensacola. A lot of them are behavior health care, a lot of them are drug addiction, a lot of them are alcoholics. So we have partnered with other agencies to try to get a handle on this problem, but we need your help. We can't do it alone. We need the funds to provide housing and some stability to our veterans and to our homeless population in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Deborah Spence, followed by Keith Turney. About 5 more. Okay, so 4 more.
All right, I'm Deborah Spence from 5656 Cruise That Way, about the Inter Point debacle. I know there's sometimes nothing you can do. It's private property. People want to make the most of their land. I've known J.D. White, who sold the property, and I know that years ago, he couldn't sell it for years because there was a third of it that was deemed wetlands. I'm like, where was it mitigated that they could build? It wouldn't be frugal to build on it unless the wetland part of that property was mitigated. So besides it being ugly, it's going to be ugly and ruin our little sanctuary. And the whole area, what people desire to go to, is just going to be taken away. People typically never leave ahead of time during a hurricane. And when you got people coming over the bridge to try to evacuate and people trying to get off the point, and you got 700 new cars sitting right there blocking us, and you say there's going to be infrastructure, it's taken Roads, Inc. over a year to work on one corner. They have finally moved to another corner, and that's going to last, what, another year, each corner? So where and how long is the infrastructure going to take for this massive project with all these cars and blocking the view and just the beauty? It's just disaster. And everybody out there hates it. You know, we just hate it. We're supposed to be single family, you know, take care of the birds and the deer and the fish kind of society, and it's going to be gone. The beauty of it will be gone with this kind of disaster.
Thank you. Kelly Root, followed by Debbie Waters. And while Kelly comes up, I will let you know, as we discussed earlier, this project I inherited. We're going to have a town hall down there. We're going to have staff. We're going to have the presentation, the pictures. That way, folks that were blindsided by this will know the whole story. We're going to do that in early October. Another gentleman requested it, so just keep your eyes out.
Way ahead of time.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
We'll make,
so people get off work.
yeah, it'll be in the evening. It'll be in the evening. Thank you. You're recognized.
Hello, my name is Kelly Root, and I work as a forensic photographer at the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office. Most of my time is spent working inside the morgue that is rented space inside Sacred Heart Hospital. I photograph fatal trauma and artifacts of death to accompany autopsy reports, aid in homicide investigations, and serve as evidence during trial. Now, I come from Detroit with 20 years experience, so I'm accustomed to triumphing over adversity. But I want to tell you about the state of the morgue that serves the residents of Escambia County. I have worked in this office since March of this year, and that time I have experienced water leaking from the ceiling no less than 10 times. Nearly every time we have heavy rain, the ceiling drips into puddles 3 feet away from my workstation. The smell, Sacred Heart cannot fix this problem, and the smell of mold and mildew is commonplace in my work environment. I have also had to work in the autopsy room with no air conditioning for 4 consecutive hours. Pouring sweat, slipping on wet floors, while photographing decomposing bodies in 85 degrees heat. This is difficult work as it is, but to have to work in these conditions is grueling and demoralizing. I sincerely ask that you recognize the failing infrastructure at Sacred Heart Hospital and their inability to meet the basic needs of the staff and caseload at the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office. I am honored to serve the community with a dedicated team at the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office led by Dr. Deanna Oleski, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Thank you for working.
Kelly, let me ask you a quick question. So, and I understand that it was leaking in the basement. Is it still leaking at this point?
They can't fix it. They bring in a garbage can and stick it under.
So it's still
the
leaking?
thing.
I mean,
Yes, yes.
That's my question.
Yes.
It is?
Every week almost.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Debbie Waters. Debbie Waters, followed by Melissa Pino. Norman Jeter, if you're still here, you're gonna be up. Are you good? All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I live at 6200 Don Carlos Drive on Perdido Key, right over the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just start by saying Gulf Beach Highway, Sorrento Road, Old Gulf Beach Highway, and now Inverarity Road are already way beyond their capacity. We have a Sorrento Road that it's narrow, no shoulders, and an increase of head-on collisions.
Yes.
We have no infrastructure to speak of to be able to sustain this 325-unit apartment complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Pino, followed by our final speaker, Norman Jeter.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash, Lapino, 413 Southeast Boblets. Larry Jones, Jr. What a shining example of a proxy for your board. You're proud to have him as a proxy on your contractor competency board because that's what he is. And this board cannot do anything about it if the state's attorney's office is not pressing forward as hard as they can with this situation. And I hope that if Ms. Madden is listening, it's going to be one of my last appeals to her to please take care of this organized system to defraud. Go back and revisit Terry Knox's case on the organized system to defraud. You gentlemen can't do anything about it if she's not going to go full steam ahead on giving these people some kind of recourse. But what you can do is clean up your own contractor competency board. You're the only ones who can do it. Tim Tolbert cannot do that. The WEAR reporting was a disaster. It's embarrassing. Now they asked Larry, what can you do to fix the contractor competency board? Nothing. Doesn't need any fixing. The chair, John Mathis, complains that they don't have enough power. Who on earth would want to give this board more power when they didn't even exercise the powers that they have? They can subpoena, they can do all kinds of things to get to the bottom of stuff. The only one who's made any sense is Mr. Lister, who was the one who tried to get something done with Matt Banks's license and couldn't get any purchase with the rest of that board. Do you really think anything's going to get better unless you figure out who needs to stay, who needs to go, and get that done? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mel, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mel, thank you. A year and a half ago, you told me what was going on, and the responsibility falls on this board, and what has happened to the citizens of Escambia County, of these contractors, I mean, it's unexcusable. So thank you, Mel. So I really appreciate
Thank you,
what you've
Commissioner
done.
May.
So and Jeff, we're going to do something about this.
Oh, yeah. We're doing it right now.
There are people who've lost their life savings behind these contractors,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
unacceptable. And
It
so
is
I'm not going to put it on Larry Downs or the competency board. At the end of the day, it resides on this board, and we need to make decisions to do something for these citizens who've been taken advantage of. So thanks, Mel. You've done a great job.
Very good. Norman Jeter, final speaker.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. This concerns the development on Inner Point. My address is 5514 Bobolink Road, out on Inner Point. I'm happy to hear you speak of a town hall meeting. I think that's real necessary, and that's kind of what I wanted to say. I haven't studied up on what's going on out there yet, so I can't say much, so I'm not going to waste a lot of your time, but a town hall meeting is very important, and that's the way we need to have everyone's input on this. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
before we break, if I could have Joy Blackman come up, and I wanted to re-ask a question that was asked about almost an hour ago by our first speaker. Would that be okay?
Sure, yeah, please. Joy, can you come
Director
forward?
Blackman, do you mind coming forward? Dee Rudleski, I think, may have been our first speaker, and she asked something about being able to see more visibility of the projects online. And of course, during your previous tenure here, that was something that you and I, really focused on, and you
Yes.
did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I am noticing that it is not quite where it once was. Have you had a chance to look at that, and is there anything that do you have any thoughts moving forward on that?
Quite frankly, I haven't looked at it, and I will get into it immediately.
Okay,
So what we can do to get them updated and get the information out there so everyone knows what's going on in their community.
Yeah, it's noteworthy that some of the newer projects are not up to that same standard. So when she said that, I was like, wait a minute, our projects are online and they look great. And then I went and looked, I'm like, no, they don't.
They're a little old, huh?
So yes,
I'm
if you would,
sorry.
and so Dee, there's a bit of a shining object there, right? During Joy's previous tenure in the lead role, we really did make that look good. So I think there's a good reason to be optimistic on that. Thank you, Director.
Take care.
All right, we're going to go ahead and close this meeting out. We'll take a brief recess. We'll be back here.
What's our recess, Mr. Chairman?
15 minutes. We'll be back in 15.
Pastor Davis?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get this going in about 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. All right, we're going to get the meeting started. If you could please take your seats. Let's do it. All right, this is the Board of County Commissioners' regular meeting, September 1st, 2022, 6:25 p.m. I apologize for the lateness of the meeting. We had an inordinate number of speakers, which is a good thing. So we heard each and every one of them, and that's why we're running late tonight. So I appreciate your patience. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. Speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to the board members and questions raised by the board. This evening, Commissioner May has the invocation. Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did see Pastor Davis here earlier to do the invocation.
Oh, there he is, right there. He's hiding.
He's there. Okay, good. Yeah, I kind of, you know.
He had the podium.
He's one of the biggest preachers in Pensacola, so it's hard to miss him. So it is with great admiration that we bring Pastor Davis and the work that he does to do invocation. Thank you, Pastor Davis.
Let us pray. Unto thee, O Lord, do we give thanks for every good and perfect gift that comes from you. We're grateful there's no variance or shadow of turning you, for you're the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. We pause to just ask right now, God, that you would supersede our thoughts, our minds, and let your wisdom prevail. If we're going to make Escambia great, we must learn to communicate. So we pray tonight that our hearts are tuned and that the reality is bigger than our personality. And we pray tonight for a wisdom revelation to flow from our citizens and for our commissioners tonight. And we pray right now that as we are trying to be a city, a beacon on a hill, that our people will come together and encourage one another, that we might do the business of Escambia County. This we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing as Commissioner Barry leads us in the pledge.
Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, are there any items to be added to the agenda? Madam Attorney?
No, sir.
Commissioner Bender?
I might have one. Eric, you want to come on up? Board, I apologize. I was just informed of this, and it's somewhat time sensitive, so.
Board just found out about 2.5 hours ago. E1, one of our manufacturer of our fire apparatus, sent us a deal. The villages down in South Florida had 2 aerials on order, a platform and a 100-foot stick. The villages have canceled that order. So E1 is allowing us to jump on that order and move to the front of the line to do the purchase. So the truck would be here, both trucks will be here December of 2023. If we order 2 aerials right now on our own, going through with the process, it'd be 2.5 years, 3 years before we see that truck in service. So it was an opportunity I felt maybe needed to bring forward. E1 says we have till next Wednesday to make a decision before we go forward with it, but they was giving us the opportunity to do that.
No, that's, can we add that to the agenda tonight?
I would like to.
Yeah, I think that's a
mean,
good
if we have a discussion now on that or not, but I think at least being able to submit the letter of intent. I know the aerials are an issue that we have.
That we have in the county, yes, sir.
In the county.
And we're going to need one in Beulah at the fire station.
Yes, sir, we are.
Let's make that happen.
So if it.
I get that, Robert. I mean, what happened that made it like a add-on tonight?
Is that we need a letter of intent to go after these 2 apparatus.
So they just released it, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir, we just found out from E1 that we had the opportunity to take the order up that the villages have dropped.
How much is the total? What's
the 100-foot stick is 1.3, and the platform, which has the platform on the tip, is 1.6. I'm sorry, 1.6 million.
So it's 1.7, but what's our contribution?
That would be all of it.
That would be all of it.
We're contributing 1.6.
We're buying this apparatus. We're asking to buy this apparatus, yes, sir.
And we didn't buy it, what would it cost?
If
we didn't buy it now under this program.
Oh, nothing. It's just that we have an opportunity to get ahead of the line to do the purchase for the apparatus. Otherwise, we're 2.5, 3 years out from receiving the trucks if we do a purchase.
I'm happy to have the conversation. I don't necessarily think I'm bought in, but
I mean, we were going to purchase these.
We will have to purchase this apparatus, yes, sir.
Okay.
Either this year or next year. Our aerials are in bad shape, so we're going to have to get ladder trucks replaced.
Well, okay, we'll have the discussion. I mean, maybe there's some things I'm not aware of, but I mean.
So you're saying we would have to purchase it based on the age of our equipment?
The age, the use, yes, sir. And to be honest with you, we're going to have to add more aerials in the county with the growth and the high rises going up, the apartments and everything, so, to meet ISO standards.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So then I will ask to add this on as a discussion item.
What, Allison?
I'm fine with the idea that the board talk about this and tentatively say we're doing something, but I mean, I've not reviewed it. I'm assuming it qualifies as a piggyback, but that's just based on what Eric's saying.
We have till Wednesday, though. I mean, if we get.
Right.
Yeah.
I would anticipate needing to come back at some point to get you guys to bless what the contract terms were and whatever that the villages, I mean, we haven't looked at it at all.
Right.
So,
And that is, I would just like to go ahead and my ask would be that we give him the ability to at least do the MOU if that's what we decide, and we can figure everything else out on the back end. But because of the time sensitivity, to go ahead and at least have the discussion, because I didn't think that they could do it on their own without any board action.
No, they couldn't. It's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's my problem, Robert. I mean, and actually, Eric talked to me about it. I mean, we're doing a 1.6 add-on tonight. I mean, and the attorney is saying she's not had time to review it. I mean, that's, and if that's the direction you guys want to go, we can go. But that could be problematic for me. I'm happy to discuss it. Yeah, I'm happy to discuss it.
All right.
And so if Eric says it's the best thing to do, it's the best thing to do. But I mean, we're doing an add-on for $1.6 million. I mean, that's
actually 2 point.
It's,
Five.
yeah, 2 point.
2.5, I mean, it's not, $2,500 of your discretionary.
Right.
Right. Yes, sir. All right.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thanks, Eric. Any add-ons, Commissioner Berry?
No, I do have a question.
Yes.
And I'm not privy to what anybody's here for, but did we put out any kind of notice about the rezoning on 297 being dropped? Did we let anybody know that?
Commissioner, we got the letter yesterday. We have talked to a number of the folks and cautioned them that they were going to be asking to drop it.
Okay, well, that was at least going to mention if that is why anybody's here, there was one of the 3 rezoning cases, which is on Highway 297 in Cantonment, is being dropped, if that's why anyone's here. So, but that's the only comment, Mr. Chairman. I don't have
Commissioner, there were some folks, I met with them out in the lobby and explained the situation.
Oh, you already talked today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, buddy.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Underhill?
None, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right. Nothing from me. Wes? All right. Okay. All right. Moving forward.
Move the item as, move
Thank
the
you.
agenda as.
Motion and second to move the agenda. Almost jumped over it. Commissioner May? All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, moving forward. Commissioners Forum. Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say I had the opportunity to go to the John Sunday dedication at City Hall today. The unveiling of the plaque at the northeast corner there of City Hall. So it was a great event with Councilwoman Tinyade Broughton, the mayor, probably the most city council members I've ever seen gathered in one area outside of a meeting. But it was glad the weather held and we were able to have that event today. Thank you.
Commissioner Berry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Join my colleagues, I'm sure, in congratulating one of our members for advancing from his primary last week. Congratulations, Robert. Very strong showing. I'm sure it was a bit of a relief, but.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And Stephen, thank you for all the work you've done on the canvassing board. I mean, I did that 2 years ago, and so when you're there 8 a.m. till 5 p.m.
Yeah.
most of the week, it's long and tedious, but I'm glad that we have someone like you in there serving.
Well, supervised elections, I will say, does most of the work. David's the expert. I'm there to lend a hand. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to mention something very briefly. I want to apologize to Rachel Watts, who was former principal at Jim Allen Elementary, and she was for many years, for more than 10 years. And Rachel is a dear friend of mine. I think I made some comments at town hall meeting related to some traffic issues that we have at the entrance to Jim Allen Elementary off 95A, and I don't think I did a very good job of explaining what I was trying to say to, I had some constituents raise those concerns, and, certainly some folks that drove from Cantonment to Walnut Hill to raise the concerns. I wanted to address it as well as I could. What I was trying to say was that Rachel and I had a, very, very healthy relationship and talked very regularly. She was the principal up until June, and I was just trying to communicate that the county had, there had been a lot of interactions about the movements of traffic there, and there had been some changes made, that the district did for, ingress and egress, and, things were, were going better. The dynamic has changed. Rachel has left. We have a new principal, but there's enrollment is up considerably. But I think, even more important than the enrollment being up is the percentage of car riders, and the number of car riders on a daily basis is up considerably.
Yep.
I'm to understand anecdotally they've got more than half of their kids now, doing, car rider lines. So the dynamic has changed quite a bit. And, so like I said, I certainly didn't mean to offend Rachel about, the fact that something hadn't been done previously, because I don't think the problem had not been what it is now. And now that we do have an issue, I have spoken to the school board member Slayton, and Wes is going to go with me next week. We've got a meeting set up with Superintendent and Bill Slayton to chat about what we can do to help with the issue. And I just wanted to make it clear the county is, we are concerned, we're interested, and we're going to work with the district. And another thing that I tried to highlight at the meeting is, the county controls, what's in our right of way, of course, but it's done in a large degree of partnership with what the district is trying to accomplish on, coming to and from campus. While we have authority, it's the give and take that a lot of things are between us and our constitutionals, or us and our, partners at the city or at ECUA. I mean, we just try to work together. A lot of deference is given to what they want. And, I think now with that change in enrollment and that, tremendous increase in car riders, that, there probably is going to take some more action. So what I'm hoping that Wes and I can get next week is what the ask is, what they think will help. I'm not an engineer, nor am I on campus on a daily basis. So what I'm hoping to get is, what they think will help, and then we're going to move forward as quickly as possible with, with a solution for those parents and for that administration that's, that's trying to work on a daily basis at Jim Allen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner May?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and certainly I want to echo what my colleague, Commissioner Bender, said in thanking Commissioner Berry for his service on the canvassing board. I mean, when we talk about voter equality, voter access, and making sure that citizens feel like their voices and their vote is counted, it's good to have someone that they have confidence in. So thank you so much for being there. I had the opportunity to hang out with Commissioner McGosh as I did radio, so we didn't have to do canvassing. We had the opportunity to meet those people who are running for office, and to congratulate my colleague, Commissioner Bender, on a well-ran race. I mean, you did well. Your numbers are not quite where I was expecting them to be, but I think you'll eventually get there. Certainly want to thank the Levin Papantonio Rafferty Law Firm for the philanthropy and the things that they're giving, and working with American Heart Association and feeding people. Not only are they doing great work for us in representing us pro bono, but they are just so giving of this community, and we certainly appreciate the work that Troy Rafferty is doing. And to Kevin Stevens and Michelle Salzman, representing Salzman and her victory, but I know she works with you, Commissioner Berry, but the work that ECUA and the state is doing in terms of trying to do workforce development and working with our school district and trying to increase the capabilities of young people to get trades and skill set, and they don't necessarily have to go to college. We appreciate all of that they've done, and actually my condolences obviously will go to Rodney Jackson and the work that he does with the Studer Institute, and unfortunately he lost his life to eating an oyster, and he was a dear friend and was before this board, and our prayers continue to go out to Trish and his family. And I certainly want to thank the mayor for including me on last Friday to be a part of the Mayor's Cup. And unfortunately, young people will engage in activities that will not be approved by us, and it saddens my heart that we've had to cancel football games in the heart of District 3, where you attended, Commissioner Bender, at Pensacola High School, and that they have to remove the games from Friday nights to Saturday mornings because of the senseless acts of violence that has happened. It's unfortunate, and certainly my support goes out to the Pensacola High, Pensacola Tigers, and all those young people who've come through my program that unfortunately will not be able to play under the Friday night lights. We'll have to play at 9 o'clock on Saturday mornings. I said privately and I said publicly, I think that that's probably something that should be looked into further, and it should be equality across all high schools, not just one high school because of its geographical location. And so I certainly support Terrence Harris and the coach, and those who would want their young people to be able to play ball at night. And finally, I want to thank Dr. Joyce Hobson and Human Relations for looking into many of the discriminatory actions that have happened after COVID in terms of rental assistance and housing. And so, Dr. Hobson, it's just great to see you, and I appreciate the work that you and Al Henderson are doing. And finally, Evelyn, you'll never retire from the county.
Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Nothing for the good of the whole, thank you.
Okay. And I just want to take a minute to thank staff. We've got a number of big road and infrastructure projects that were approved at the last meeting, and I appreciate everyone's help with me on that. It was kind of a short turnaround evolution to get that done, but that was a big deal, and I appreciate, of course, the unanimous vote of this board to do Longleaf, to put $2 million into the Sorrento PD&E, which is going to shave about 5 years off that project, to put $500,000 sidewalks, Rebel Road in Beulah, to help that elementary and middle school area where there's no safe way for those kids to walk to school. So lots of good things happen, but it doesn't happen without staff and the hard work of staff behind the scenes. I also want to thank Chris Phillips in particular. I've really been pressing him on several road projects, including Frank Reeder, which we also funded to the tune of $2 million. The northern part of Beulah, that's going to be critical once the northern section of OLF 8 comes online and we have the interchange built up there. So appreciate staff. We also had a conference call with FDOT. There's a lot of federal grant money coming down, and I want to thank the staff that participated, Joy Blackman and Chris Phillips, on the conference call that was held last week on ways that we might potentially partner with FDOT to get some grant money to potentially create a loop or a cul-de-sac to help the NAS Pensacola base access issue, which is very important to all of us. So lots of things happening. You know, we had a big public forum tonight. We had a lot of speakers, a lot of great points. But behind all of that, I always have to say, the staff, we'll take those comments, we'll take those criticisms, and I appreciate it. I try and learn from it. But behind it all is the staff of this county that are just fantastic. I mean, just hardworking, and I just can't say enough about them. So thank you to all the staff members. Wes, anything from you? All right, so that'll end Commissioners' Forum. We'll go to our proclamations.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt proclamations A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the proclamations. Please vote. All right, proclamations passed unanimously. First up, we will have the proclamation commending and congratulating Elizabeth Bush, Construction Manager, Facilities Management Department, on her selection as Employee of the Month. So Rob Hogan will be recognized when he gets up to the podium.
Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for letting me come up here and tell you about our employee, Liz Bush.
I'm here.
Just checking.
I was debating because it was really long.
So, it's proclamations for Liz Bush, whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent various departments. And whereas Elizabeth, we call her Liz Bush, the construction project manager of the Facilities Management Department, is selected for Employee of the Month for September 2022 for the standards of excellence that she has displayed in the performance of her duties. And whereas Liz began her employment with the county on April 7th, 2004, transferred to the Facilities Department on June 7th, 2021. Her first assignment was to provide project management duties to a list of roughly 150 projects relating to Hurricane Sally repairs to county-owned facilities. 65 of these projects were hindered by our maintenance technicians, while 85 of these projects were overseen by Liz. These projects had mostly sat dormant since September 2020, when the storm ravaged Escambia County with high winds and sustained rainfall for an extended period. These projects varied in size from painting damaged wallboard to complete replacement of building roofs. Liz demonstrated the initiative to organize these projects into a design and procurement matrix. After 1 year of diligent and efficient effort, there are currently 14 of the 150 projects remaining. Whereas Liz also took on additional project portfolio elements, including the refresh projects of Pensacola Beach, to add to her Hurricane Sally work. These projects included the rehabilitation of Park East, Park West, Casino Beach, and the Quiet Water Park resort areas. These facilities included the reconstruction of 4 beach walkovers, re-roofing, repainting, and miscellaneous repairs to 32 beachside pavilions and 3 freestanding restrooms, as well as repainting and structural repairs to the Casino Beach Pavilion. Whereas her willingness to take on any task that keeps the department and the county moving forward is commendable. Liz is a problem solver with an amazing work ethic, a keen eye for detail, and insists on only the highest quality product from contractors. The positive impacts of her efforts are easily recognizable to the community. Liz's success is rooted in her honest, friendly, and experienced professionalism that is a natural part of her charismatic personality. She's very helpful and communicative towards her colleagues, always takes the time to listen and ensure that every voice is heard and every idea is considered. Liz is a real problem solver and not afraid to deal with difficult situations and has the capability to handle them head on. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, commends and congratulates Ms. Elizabeth Bush for her selection as Employee of the Month for September 2022. The Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Commissioner Jeffrey Begosh, Chairman, District 1, Commissioner Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, District 2, Commissioner Lumen May, District 3, Commissioner Robert Bender, District 4, and Commissioner Stephen Barry, District 5.
He always is.
Hey, I'm not the center of attention here. You are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seriously. These were all my family first.
Would you like to make some comments, please? By all means.
So I want to thank all my family that I've worked with for almost 20 years. Started out at engineering, so I've worked with everybody here. Congratulations to Robin. Wes and Joy gave me the opportunity to start, and Rob allowed me to flourish, and I could not have done anything that I'm doing today without everybody's support. It was all a team effort.
Congratulations.
But thank y'all.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you, Rob. Next up, we're going to adopt the proclamation commending and honoring the life of Reverend Clarence Eugene Salter, Jr., and extending heartfelt condolences and well wishes to his family and friends. Commissioner May will be bringing that forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mother Salter comes forward, it was very few people that were close to my father, and so it's with great humility that I present this, but it's without reservations that I say that when I was an 8-year-old kid and your husband and my daddy would do Bible study, your husband ran over my skateboard and broke my skateboard. You remember that? Yeah, he did run over my skateboard. And then he did sit in the living room of my mother's house, and we wasn't allowed to go in the living room, and I told him he had to sit in the den. So that's how close we are. And so that was very important. But the contribution he's made to our community is very important, so I'm very honored to read this proclamation. Whereas Reverend Clarence Eugene Salter, Jr. was born on September 18, 1931 to Clarence Salter, Sr. and Lucille Salter, whereas his early educational training was received in the public schools of Escambia County, graduating from Booker T. Washington High School in 1950. Following 1 year of college training at Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach, Florida, he was called to a tour of military duty in which he served. in Virginia, where he received his honorable discharge. He then resumed his academic training and received his Bachelor of Arts degree in music education from Bethune-Cookman College and a Master's of Education degree from Troy State. Whereas he touched the lives of many young people in Santa Rosa County and in Escambia County for 28 years as an instructor of music education and band director. Whereas the most important facet of his life was his strong faith and commitment to the Great Commission of God. This forms the foundation for his accepting the call to the Christian ministry for the purpose of reconciliation to the people of God, bringing lost sheep into the fold to become followers of Christ. He served as the pastor of the Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church for 17 years. In 1985, he formed the First Corinthian Missionary Baptist Church, which was organized under his leadership, where he served for 32 years, where he retired in 2017 and reunited with his childhood church of 6th Avenue Baptist Church. He was also involved in many community activities, serving on the board of directors of the Northwest Florida Kidney Center, PJC Adult Foundation, Escambia County Council on Aging, Alzheimer's Family Services, Assault on Literacy Program, and was a member of the Pensacola Area Ministerial Association, the Bethune College Cookman Alumni Association, and the Omega Psi Fraternity. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida hereby honors the life of the great Reverend Clarence Eugene Salter Jr., and we extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, his wife, and friends. Board of County Commissioners, Jeff Bergosh, Chairman, Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, Lumen J. May, District 3, Robert Bender, District 4, and Stephen Berry, District 5. Thank you, Ms. Salter, for your years of service.
Thank you.
Yes, please, we definitely have to have a speech now.
Our husband would give a speech.
Well, I would certainly like to express my sincere appreciation to the board and to Commissioner May. And I think he finally forgives us for that.
I don't know, does he?
That incident with the skating board.
He
Thank
remembered
you,
it.
one and all.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Salter, I do forgive you, but my mother never bought me another skateboard.
She might have helped you, Lumen.
Yeah, she might have helped me.
That might have
Now
been
we got
good.
a skate park at Hollis T. Williams, so maybe it's okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we're going to go ahead and adopt the proclamation proclaiming September 2022.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, no, we've already done it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
my apologies. We're going to bring forward Commissioner Bender to bring that. We've already voted for it. We've already approved it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, so I am wearing my yellow tie tonight in honor of that. I have this Escambia County proclamation. Whereas children are Escambia County's most valuable resource, and their health is crucial to our county's economic development, continued success, and well-being as a whole. And whereas Northwest Florida reports an average of 50 local children are newly diagnosed with cancer each year. And whereas cancer is the #1 disease killer of children in the United States, yet childhood cancer research is severely underfunded, where only 4% of the National Institute of Health allocates cancer research funding to children. And whereas research in the field of childhood cancer will allow for better treatment options, safe quality therapies, and ultimately a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas Raleigh Foundation for Childhood Cancer Research has provided a valuable resource to children and families who are afflicted with this horrendous disease. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners hereby declares the month of September 2022 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and encourages others to participate in efforts throughout the year to raise awareness and funding for childhood cancer research with Raleigh, Pensacola, while supporting families who face devastating effects and costs. Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Jeff Bergosh, Chairman, District 1, Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3, Robert Bender, District 4, Stephen Berry, District 5.
On behalf of the Raleigh Foundation and all other Raleigh family and kids, I would like to thank you, Board, for the recognition.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Our community has a huge effort. Sorry, our community is making a huge effort and difference for kids with cancer in our community. Together, we are gold strong and rally on.
Next up, we have a years of service recognition. This one will require a motion.
Move that we adopt the proclamation for years of service recognition.
Motion is second. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, Board, it is.
We're just about to call the, did it?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, the PowerPoint is up. It was carried, or it was 5 yes votes.
Unanimous. Okay,
Yes.
sorry, Wes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board. It's an honor to stand at the podium today with, beside Ms. Robin Lambert, somebody that I've gotten to know very well through the years. And I'll say a few words, but before I do that, I'll read the proclamation. It says, whereas Robin F. Lambert has distinguished herself in various roles as a county employee for 45 years, providing excellent customer service to her colleagues, managers, and the citizens of Escambia County by her conscientious management of taxpayer funds as a county manager. And whereas since Ms. Lambert began her career on April the 19th, 1977, 10 years before me, by the way, as a clerk typist in the comptroller's office through promotions and department changes, she has advanced in her career by taking every opportunity to expand her knowledge base by learning new software programs, accounting techniques, budgeting procedures, purchasing processes, and supervisory and management principles. As she became more accomplished, her duties grew to include the oversight and management of millions of dollars in Escambia County's local option sales tax budgets and millions more of disaster recovery funds, transportation and grant funds, and drainage project budgets. And whereas Robin manages the budgets for the engineering department to include construction management, engineering admin, and transportation and traffic operations divisions, including projects related to Restore, LOST, Florida Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, and FEMA. She also prepares, administers, or assists with budgets for the Planning and Zoning, DRC, and GIS divisions of the Development Services Department, the Parks and Recreations Department, and other county departments as requested. And whereas Ms. Lambert has received well-deserved honors over the years as she has been chosen County Employee of the Month and County Employee of the Year, has been selected as Engineering's Employee of the Month more than once for her outstanding service over her 45-year tenure, and has also been recognized with Eagle Awards. And whereas Robin demonstrates a sterling work ethic, exemplifies loyalty, honesty, compassion, and decency, and is a dynamic, vital leader in the engineering department and access and across Escambia County. And whereas Ms. Lambert is a true role model, always willing to take on new duties, train new employees, answer questions from peers and colleagues to department directors and commissioners, share her knowledge, and help anyone at any time. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, expresses its appreciation to Robin F. Lambert and others, and offers this proclamation in recognition of her achievements and dedication for her 45 years of faithful service to the Board of County Commissioners and to the citizens of Escambia County. Jeff Bergosh, Chairman, District 1, Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3, Robert Bender, District 4, Stephen Berry, District 5. Now, so I want to say this. I met Robin when I started out in the road department in June of 1987. I was much younger, so was she. But I got to know Robin. She worked in what we call the admin building, affectionately known as the White House out there. And she was a leader out there. She was, as always, she was a go-to person. And she left and went to engineering. And then I followed suit a few years later. And when I went to engineering, I didn't know anybody. So when I saw Robin, it was nice to see a fresh face, somebody that was familiar to me. But she kind of took me under her wing, as she's done many project managers, as she's done many county engineers and division managers, and always guided, through the financial process, purchase order process, tracking of funds, millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars of funds that she's tracked and helped administer through the years. And I say this, and I say it quite often, some of you have heard me say it, when you have a career like this, and though Robin, she may not have been the front face on the project, may not have been the one with the citizen in the field, but I promise you, through the years, she has played a vital role in every project that's been administered out of engineering. Every one. Everyone. They all go through her. She tells us what we can do. She tells us what we can't do. Sometimes we listen. But just personally, for my role when I was in engineering, she was just a great, great help to me. I really learned a lot. And this is the other thing that I appreciate about Robin. As you guys know, we come and we say, this is what we have. This is where I'm trying to get to. And sometimes you run into people that go, nope, you can't do that. And then sometimes you meet people who go, well, hang on a minute. Maybe we work it this way or work it that way. You still got to take it to the board, but I think we can make that work. And that's been a key characteristic to success in engineering, is her ability and her willingness to take on that kind of an attitude and put forth that kind of an effort. Robin, I just thank you so much for what you've done for me through the years and just what you meant to the organization through the years. So congratulations.
Robin, we'd love to hear from you.
I just want to say thank you, and I couldn't have done it without all of these people behind me, so I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. All right.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward now, did the clerk's office receive the proofs of publication for the public hearings on the agenda and the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs from the Escambia Sun Press.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we waive the reading. Second.
Motion second to waive the reading. Please vote.
Chris Kerb, you can go ahead and leave with them. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you're part of engineering.
Motion to waive the reading passes unanimously. Next up, Clerk and Comptroller's report. Pam Childers, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have two items on the consent agenda for your approval. One is the July investment report. The other is minutes and reports. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the clerk's report as delivered.
Okay. Motion and second on the clerk's report. Please vote. Clerk's report passes unanimously. We're now moving up to Horace Jones. You're recognized.
Yes, sir. For tonight, we have our rezoning case Z 2022-10, 545A, from low-density mixed use to, from LDR to low-density mixed use. The planning board made a recommendation for denial.
Okay, we do have one speaker. Would the board hear from the speaker first?
Please.
Okay, so Erica Floyd, I believe, are you speaking to this item? Okay. Good evening, you're recognized.
Good evening. I'm Erica Floyd with Gold Civil Engineering. I'm the agent for Kara and Jim Johnson. They're the property owners. And the property is located at 10085 North Loop Road in Pleasant Grove. It's approximately 600 feet west of Blue Angel Parkway and a half mile south of the intersection with Sorrento Road. We're here to ask, or I'm here to ask, they're here spiritually, to ask for your reconsideration for the zoning board's denial of our rezoning request. They want to add 6 additional mobile home units to the site. It's an existing mobile home site, and it's to offset costs associated with replacement of a failing septic system on the property. They bought the property as an investment opportunity last year and found out about the septic system. They had conversations with the health department, ECUA, and Escambia County last October. Then they reached out to me. I recommended that we have a pre-application meeting. We had one with the Escambia County staff in May of this year. In order to add the additional mobile home units, it was required that the site be rezoned. Currently, it's zone LDR. It is non-conforming at this time. Mobile homes are not allowed. So we are asking to move it into a zoning that fits and ask for an additional 6 units to allow for the offset of the cost for the sanitary improvements. Unfortunately, it was looked for other options other than the rezoning, and to no avail. There wasn't anything as we were told at the time. But to our disappointment, the zoning staff findings were not favorable for recommendation of the zoning approval. Therefore, the zoning board felt they had no choice but to deny. However, in my opinion, they seem to really want the improvements, and who wouldn't want the septic system to be changed over to a gravity system, a lift station, a force main connected to an ECUA system in an area that we are having troubles. And this is an environmental concern. So it's unfortunate there are no measures in place to place or allow for contingencies or conditions on rezoning requests, because this is our option. Their concerns were that the other allowable uses in the low-density mixed use, which is compatible with the comprehensive plan, although they were small-scale retail and commercial, that those could potentially be constructed if the rezoning was allowed. So I would hope that you would reconsider the findings of the staff, and we would appreciate you reconsidering overturning their decision.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other speakers, Mr. Chairman?
We have no other speakers. I see no other speakers. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, before I make the motion, obviously supporting the planning board, it is noteworthy at a time when some of our volunteers are certainly being called into question in their service. If you look at the minutes from this, the discussion about the impact of development within the AIPDs around the base, and of course having Steve Opolinic from the Navy on our board, and allowing him to be able to be, while he can't vote, he's an interesting part of the discussion. I've seen work from paid consultants that is not as good as this discussion. This is a very thorough discussion that really goes into details about how that impacts the military and the military base. So, there's a very thorough discussion there. That was only one of the items. Is actually staff recommended disapproval based on a failure to meet under their findings B, C, and D. So there were 3 major items that caused the staff to recommend against. The board voted unanimously to deny, and therefore my motion is to uphold the board's action and deny the request for case number Z2022-10.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second on this. Any further discussion on this one? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, the item passes 4-0 with Commissioner May off the dais. Okay, the 545 is...
Yes, sir. Again, this the adoption of the map, in which it was tonight, so take
Drop.
action.
Okay.
Drop, yeah.
We need a motion.
Move that we drop the 545.
Motion and second to drop 545. Please vote. The 545 is dropped by a 4-0 vote. Commissioner May off the dais. Okay, next up.
Yes, sir. The next rezoning case is 20-22-11. This is 545B from medium-density residential to high-density residential. The planning board, again, made a recommendation to deny.
Okay, we have a number of speakers on this one. We'll go ahead and bring the speakers forward one by one. Yes, we'll start with Stafford Pulford.
My name is Stafford Pulford. I'm a retired environmental specialist, consultant, and supervisor, 35 years experience. I've lived in Beach Haven, that's this area we're talking about, for over 40 years. And I witnessed what's happened to this neighborhood all during that time. And it's always been a quiet neighborhood. And if this rezoning is passed, it means that this gentleman could put 4.5 units on this quarter-acre piece of property. And there's no sewer there. It's all on septic tank. And I'm sure that the building inspection and the health department would not pass that. I just want to let you know that that's what my view is on it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And the recommendation on the floor is denial, by the way. So we've got a number of speakers. If you are so inclined, you may always wave in support of the vote that's about to come. So if that speaks to you and you'd like to wave in support of us voting to deny, then that's looked upon quite kindly. Walter Lurton, would you like to wave in support? All right. Alice Blackwell, would you like to wave in? Very good. Vicki Carson, would you like to? Okay, good. So we've let the record indicate a number of speakers have voted in support of supporting the planning board's decision to deny this request. Any other speakers here to speak on this? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion is second. Please vote.
Just to clarify, that's a motion to deny.
A yes vote means deny.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was, yeah, we made that clear.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Let me read the
after that
vote.
passes, I just want to make a statement after that.
Oh, yeah, okay,
passes.
absolutely, yeah. Let's just see. Okay, that passes unanimously, which means we upheld the planning board decision, which means it was denied. Okay? I know it's confusing. All right, Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I did not recognize it until this moment, but we're very blessed to have a legend in our presence, and Vicki Carson, one of the winningest coaches in junior college basketball, Pensacola Junior College State College. I mean, what an honor to have Vicki Carson in our presence.
Right on.
I mean, she's a legend across this country and does so much for women's basketball. So, thank you, Vicki. I'll tell Michelle and Neri that you were here. I know you were, but we identified you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to drop 545B.
Okay. Motion is second. We have a second.
Do we are able to just drop 5 and the 545, the other part C? Weren't we dropping that one? Yes. We just lumped that all into one?
Yeah, that's a very good point, since we dropped, we do have a speaker there, so I don't want to
All right,
rush
never mind
past
then.
that.
All right, sorry.
Motion stands.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to drop the 545B. Please vote. Uh-oh. Commissioner May?
Thank you, sir.
The card system. Ingenious. Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, we do have the third one, which we dropped.
Yes, sir.
We do have a speaker. I want to make sure if she's here that she has the opportunity to speak, since she probably didn't get the... Lorraine, is Lorraine Hensler here?
No, you either need, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, what?
I would suggest it's a quasi-judicial hearing, either hold the hearing or drop the hearing. I wouldn't do a blend.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, so how would the board wish to proceed on this? Commissioner Barry, it's in your district.
So what, Mr. Chairman, your comment was you had a speaker signed up?
Yeah, we've got two of them, Lorraine Hensler and Cassandra Borg. I don't know if
Are you sure they're still here?
They're gone.
They're not here? Okay, then
They left.
it's a moot point.
So,
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move to drop the item.
Motion is second, please vote.
And that includes 545C then?
I think we got to do it separately, but.
Okay.
It's all right. As soon as he reads it, I'll do that.
Okay, dropping that item passes unanimously, and then we have the 545C.
Move to drop 545C.
Motion is second to drop 545C. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, we're now at the 546.
Yes, so the next item is the 546. This is to review and adopt amending Chapter 4, Article 2, floodplain management, to review and adopt.
We have a speaker on the issue. Go ahead and bring the speaker forward, Melissa Pino.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash. This is really coming. I think it was this item that you guys had a little bit more of an extended discussion about, that I heard this morning about the committee that's been put together. And so I just wanted to say quickly, that really unpopular thing that never gets anywhere of maybe now that we've got Ms. Blockman back and she can work with her longstanding relationship with Horace, there's going to be a committee, it sounded like, I think I heard that right, looking at all of these issues. Maybe the committee could start looking at our land development code. You know, one of the gentlemen got responded to again tonight. Well, we can't do anything. Staff has told us we can't do anything about that development. You guys are the boss. Sure you can. Maybe not that one, but you can make the direct staff to do the necessary changes. In the land development code, you guys are changing it to a 500-year flood. What better time to revisit some of these disastrous developments? Because honestly, that one down there, Chairman Burgash, it's pretty bad. It's going to have a really bad impact. And of course, you're catching the heat for what was born of the empty chair next to you. And I think a lot of people do recognize that. So thank you for having the town hall. But nothing has changed in this county as people continue to come and say, how can you clear cut? How can you cram all this in? And obviously, you termed it yourself, Chairman Burgash, loosey-goosey language in our land development code. If not now, when? Thank you.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion on... Motion on 7? Motion is second on 7. Please vote. Okay, the 546, item number 7, the
Yes, sir.
floodplain management passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais.
Then we have 547. This is to review and adopt amending Chapter 4, Article 3, Santa Rosa Island Authority floodplain management.
No speakers. No speakers. Motion is second to approve number 8. Please vote. Item passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais.
The next one is 548, just to review and adopt amending Volume 1, Chapter 14, Article floodplain management, review and adopt.
No speakers. Motion and a second. Please vote. Item 9 passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais.
Again, 549, public hearing concerning the review of an ordinance amending Volume 1, Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14-28, to review and adopt.
There are no speakers. Motion is second to approve the 549. Please vote.
Commissioner May, was the motion so moved? So moved. Just making sure. Thank you.
All right, that passes 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill off the dais.
Then we do have our consent agenda for October the 6th.
Second for discussion.
Motion is second
I just
for
have a
discussion.
quick question. I don't know if you can explain just a little bit. So a public hearing, private wastewater collection systems ordinance. My understanding is this is brought to us from ECWA. Can we just
ECUA, yes.
expand a little bit on what their ask is? I'm not trying to have the hearing, I'm just trying to give more information because there wasn't any in the backup, so just.
Yes, sir. Didn't go through the whole project, but I believe this is involving townhomes and private systems as far as, then connecting to ECUA.
Okay. Look forward to seeing it then. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. Wes, you're up.
We need a vote.
Oh, that's right. Let's vote on that. We had discussion, we didn't vote. Let's vote. All right, the consent agenda passes unanimously. Wes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 11 items on the Technical Public Service consent agenda. Please make the following changes. Drop CAR 1-2, recommendation concerning amending the residential rehab grant program. And drop CAR 1-10, recommendation concerning Merit System Protection Board appointees.
Move the balance in the affirmative.
Motion is second on the balance. Please vote. All right, passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 27 items on the Budget Finance consent agenda. Please make the following changes. Drop CAR 1-1, item A3, recommendation concerning rehab grant program funding and lien agreement for Timothy S. Smith, Jr. I'm sorry, that was CAR 2-1, by the way. Also drop CAR 2-20, recommendation concerning the surplus of county-owned property located in the Midtown Commerce Park will be added to the Committee of the Whole, a future Committee of the Whole. Also, please drop CAR 2-11, recommendation concerning issuance of a purchase order in excess of $25,000 to Amtech Solutions, Inc. for the design of a replacement roof for the Mass Transit Complex Administration Building. Hold for discussion, CAR 2-4, recommendation concerning the authorization for cumulative expenditures over $25,000 in fiscal year 2021-2022 for the Department of Natural Resources for demolition or lot clearing services. Hold CAR 2-13, the recommendation concerning the issuance of a fiscal year 2022-2023 purchase orders in excess of $25,000 for the engineering department. Hold CAR 2-25, the recommendation concerning amendment to the Inner Island Development Corporation sewage system improvements rate resolution. And hold CAR 2-17 for speakers.
Chair will entertain a motion on the balance.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second on the balance. Please vote. All right, the balance passes unanimously. So we'll start with number 1. We dropped A3, so let's go back and pick up the rest of it. So we're on 2.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is the rest of that was included in the balance. Was that not the intent? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, but, okay, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry if I misunderstood.
No, you're right. I misspoke. Okay, so we can start with number 4, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied now, so it's fine. I don't need to hold it.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion on it.
Move the item in the affirmative.
Motion is second on item 4 to approve it.
Second.
Please vote. Okay, that passes unanimously. We dropped number 11, we dropped number 20. Number 13, we're holding for discussion. Purchase orders for the engineering department.
Mr. Chairman, I held it. I've had some discussion today with staff, so I don't have any other comment other than, Joy, if we can, just when we bring Lard, you don't need to come up, it's fine. But if we can at least somewhat indicate the amount per funding source that we're allocating, just because, so we can see what that distribution is within the item, it would help. Specifically, like with the Bob Sykes Bridge, to know how much is scheduled to come out of that fund source for a larger chunk. Thank you.
And thank you, and Joy, and when Robert held this, I mean, he held it for different reasons for me. But candidly, we need a point of contact with CSX. I mean, we have railroad blockings and crossings, and it seems to me that we never can get any response. And Steve, I know you've worked on this. We never can get a response from CSX, but we're supporting them and paying them. And so, I mean, the relationship goes both ways. And so I would hope that that would be conveyed, that we would expect for them to be a good partner as well as we're good partners. I mean, there's been a lot of delays, blockages, and things in where we can have no relationship with CSX, but we tend to continue to contract with them.
Yes.
So,
No, I agree. It's a challenge.
yeah. So, I mean, I just hope we would convey that, Joy, because, I mean, whether it's a necessity or whatever, I mean, I'm not going to continue to vote to contract with people that are not good partners.
I believe this contract actually pays for us to cross their roads, but I understand your question.
Oh, yeah, they own
and
everything.
concern.
I know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they own everything.
Yeah, we have no rights. They have a lot of rights.
Yeah, they have a lot of rights. Yeah, they started a long time ago. Yeah.
They call it getting railroaded for a reason.
Oh, well, absolutely. But at least you can convey that message to them, Joy.
Yes, sir. I will.
I appreciate it if you would.
Move item 13 in the affirmative.
Commissioner Barry?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Joy, you know, we talked a little bit earlier.
Yes,
What number?
I'm
for a
sorry,
couple of these,
Steve.
what number do you think that we can take that we can take a couple of these down to? I mean, we look at current purchase orders that we have, and for this current, the current year purchase order, as well as the amount we've actually spent this year. I mean, what do you think we can comfortably take these down to? I do think there's a few that we can change.
There has been some significant increase in the service requirement. You were speaking to Myovision, which has to do with the lights that are traffic signals and monitoring those. They've added 100 new signal monitoring issues, so we have that to consider. Our estimate comes in.
Added 100 to what gross number before?
Oh, gosh, I'm sorry. I don't have that number with me. I'm a little out of sync here without
Sure.
Chris,
Yeah.
But they definitely did their estimate today, or re-estimated everything again today, and they still came in around this number. But I think we could come down 50,000 easily and not allocate even that much at this point. We could do half now and half later if we needed to. We don't have to encumber all of it up front.
Yeah, I mean, the current purchase order is only 150,000.
Right.
We've only paid 75 so far this year.
Yes, sir.
So
We have 75, an invoice for 75 also, though, so.
well.
But I agree with you. That brings us still to the 150. We could bring it to that at least and then see where we need to
All
be.
right, what about the temple?
I don't know what the increase was on that one. I'm sorry.
So the current purchase order is 130. This is 200. We've only paid 43 this year.
I wasn't aware of that. We'll look at that. You want us to bring that to half?
So, I mean, can we just bring this back to the next meeting?
Certainly.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, because
I can do that and get a better analysis
yeah,
for you.
because we've got there's 3 or 4 others that are also related to traffic controllers, cabinets, miscellaneous traffic.
Yes.
And I mean, we need to identify who we're actually going to spend, the money with, rather than just getting purchase orders open for everybody.
I understand. Yes, sir. We can do
Yeah,
that.
Mr. Chairman, if we could just drop this, we have another meeting in September. This is not going to it's not going to have any impact on our purchase orders. These are all purchase orders for the 23 year, so
Okay.
it won't have any impact. And I'll try to spend some time with Joy and Stephen, and we'll work it out.
Second the motion to drop.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to drop.
Thank you, Joy.
Yes, sir.
All right, please vote. Item 13, motion to drop passes unanimously. We're at item 17, and we do have 2 speakers on items 17. So we'll go ahead and hear from the speakers. Oh, looks like they left.
Yeah, I don't see him, so
Dee Ridleski, you not here? Chris Kerb, gone?
I think they would have supported.
I think they're waving in support. That's what I'm going to assume. Chair would entertain a motion on that.
Move the item in the affirmative.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Please vote. All right, item 17 passes unanimously. Thanks to staff for getting that done. That's a big deal there. That'll help that area. All right, and I ask that we hold item number 25. I think it's a pretty significant development that we get to lower the MSBU's. So I appreciate Stephen Hall's work on that. I appreciate staff getting rid of the properties and just doing what they could. I'm sure Commissioner Underhill probably dealt with this issue for many, many years. So the total amount per homeowner that is going to be reduced on this MSBU is between 46 and, did you say between 46 and 112 bucks per homeowner compared to what they paid last year? So it's not an insignificant amount of a savings. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yes, sir, Commissioner. So the difference between last year's assessment and this year's assessment with the activities of the grant, the finalized cost, also 1 year of payment by everybody on this MSBU. So it drops that annual payment in a range of $46.45 to $116 less than the prior year.
Than what they paid last year. That's a big deal. So I appreciate that. And so Chair would entertain a motion.
Move the item in the affirmative.
All right, I'll second it. Motion is second on that item. Please vote. All right. Okay. All right, we're at discussion. Gentlemen, we kind of covered this today, so the Chair would entertain a motion on number 1.
Move the item in the affirmative, A, B, C, and D.
Okay, wait a minute, we're on discussion, aren't we?
Yeah, CAR 3, 1, A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's an item that requires a supermajority vote because of the acquisition price.
Okay, we got a motion. We have a second? Motion and a second. Please vote. All right, that passes unanimously. The next issue...
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
There is no time in the future where we could have bought that property any cheaper.
Yes.
So it required a supermajority because it's above the appraised value. But the value on that, going forward,
Priceless.
future boards will appreciate the fact that we bought it now.
Absolutely. Yeah, kudos to staff for getting that done. The next item, we killed it all day, and we heard all the speakers. I don't believe any of these folks are still here. Many of them, most of them already spoke, so we'll skip right by that. We don't need to take any action on that, right, Allison?
Right, no, that's fine, just.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would
Yep.
say,
Wes?
I think maybe, might have been a little bit of confusion. I think they thought they were signing up to speak during the discussion time. They were heard during the public forum, but if there was any misunderstanding with Mr. Shebler or the medical examiner, I certainly apologize for that.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. I mean, they got to say what they wanted to say earlier, and they didn't have to wait for the whole meeting, so I don't see any of them. Is there anyone here to speak to the medical examiners? I don't see them. I'd let them speak again if they want to, I guess. But anyway, but before we move on from that, I will just say this, and we were so pressed for time during the public forum, but this morning we had a very long conversation, and there's a number of positive developments in that. It's not like we're going to keep them in a small facility. Commissioner Berry and our administrator, Wes Marino, have met with the staff over there, and what I heard this morning sounded very, very good. So it's a shame these folks probably didn't see the discussion that we had, but we're going to do some things to help.
I hope they
them.
watch.
Yeah, maybe they'll watch it. Maybe they'll watch the rerun. I do know that we had some problems with the audio this morning. I had a lot of people report that, so hopefully they can get that fixed. But
Yeah, Jeff, I think they're trying to upload a clean copy, so there was better recording. It may just not have been live, I think, is my understanding. So yes, there should be a better one. I'll just say, part of what I heard tonight was it sounds like the facility needs to be in Escambia County. I mean, with the people that are doing training and learning the trade, to the trauma hospitals that we have here, to the tissue donations that probably want to be close to the hospital. So to me, it sounded like it was advocating for.
Keeping it here.
Keeping it in Escambia
That's
County.
what I heard.
Yeah,
Barry?
and the issues that they raised are very legitimate issues, which the board, as you mentioned this morning, which the board is addressing, I think, in a very appropriate way. You know, so I just hope there's a, you know, I hope they do go back and watch the discussion. I hope Mr. Schiebler is able to go back and watch the discussion, and you know, we're advocating, you know, we're trying to fiscally, prudently advocate for the same outcome that they're desiring, and that it appears that's needed. I don't think anyone disputes the needs that are there, but they can be addressed in a way that's not mortgaging multiple counties' long-term financial positions.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I agree with
there's an alternate way.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to watching that happen. So I just think it's appropriate we say that. So hopefully they'll watch that video. So we'll go right past that one. And we actually did talk quite a lot about the homeless issues. Do we have any, you want to speak to that? Okay, we did talk about it. We have speakers here. Candy Alcott? Okay. We're going to go ahead and hear from the speakers since they waited through the whole meeting.
Mr. Chairman, it's your intent after that we're going to pass this off to a committee of the whole, is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah, that's what we said we're going to do, but. Yep, okay, yep, please come forward. I've got 4 speakers. You want to go first?
Me, Candy, Mark Horn, and Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman Burgash. I know that this got kicked. I'm glad you guys are taking it back to a cow, but of course, public can't speak at a cow, and we had some very important things lined up to say tonight. And I'm just going to draw 3 headlines, bullets, really, that I really feel like this board needs to understand before you guys go into your cow. The first thing is nothing in this gets fixed as long as John Johnson is the head of Opening Doors, or we don't have a different continuum of care than Opening Doors. And I'm going to speak more to that because I've just received a copy of the audit that came in June on Opening Doors. The second thing, many people will agree with my opinion. It's just my opinion. Melissa Johnson does not need to be working with vulnerable populations. Period. End of story. The anecdotals about her angry outbursts and her treatment, not just of homeless, but volunteers and many other people. I just spoke with another lady that's had an outburst from her. Number 3 is if Mr. Wibbs wants to continue to grow a homeless, whatever it is, take over, you know, I'm not even sure what he's going for. He's got to be accountable for what's going on in his shelters and his camps. Ms. Bookman and the task force people have to be accountable. I've got way too much to cover in this audit. I'm going to send y'all a copy of it, but I'll just call from memory that they were dinged badly on their procurement. No procurement records, no advertisements, specifically that they are not being competitive in their procurement. It was number 1.
Okay.
2, paycheck stuff, insufficient documentation on payroll. One of those, and then there was a strange thing where they called attention to the fact that REAP got a $1,400 check for incentive with no explanation of what it was for. The grading scale on this goes down to 20. They scored an 18. It is shot through with some of the most concerning things I've ever seen out of an agency like this in an audit. Now, this was an audit that was performed on every COC that got this emergency grant by rote. It started in January, and the audit came out in June. One of the very last things in the audit is the COCs victims are victim services providers or legal services providers. Do the records confirm that the comparable database complies with HUD's HMIS requirements? No. Boxes checked, no.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, Kevin Wade. Oh, Candy wants to go? Okay, Candy can go next. You're recognized. Yeah, I got him.
In all due respect, this is probably the most important 3 minutes of my life.
Oh, okay.
Melissa Marie Johnson misled me, lied to me, and is pulling the wool right over everyone's eyes in Pensacola. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I was in camp, boots on the ground, 4 months, 24/7 search of their tents, personal property, and seizure of said property by Melissa Johnson. Random 24/7 drug testing of all campers, including minor children. Parents have to agree to have their minor children tested or they get kicked out. All gates locked at 8 p.m. If you're on the other side, you don't come in. If you're on this side, you're stuck in there with no fire extinguishers, no first aid, no security. Laura Kennedy's wallet is full of other people's EBT cards. She takes their food stamp cards, showed it to me herself when I cried about a camper that was put out without food. Transition to a wet camp, alcohol allowed. Okay, 5/1, Melissa changed her idea. We're gonna have a wet camp. You can leave in the morning, drink all day, you come back in by 8 at night. We got a serious problem with arguing, fighting, loud music, chaos, traumatized children and adults. Children in this camp. I'm teaching school in the middle of all of it. All the donations are in Laura Kennedy's house. Melissa got a house on Scenic. She got a house with a pool. They took me there, showed me this, okay, so people getting sick, rats behind all the tents, flies covering the food, people sick regularly from unrefrigerated food. The kitchen had a hot plate, 1 burner, 1 crock pot, an apartment-sized refrigerator for 25 to 30 people. Maxwell Center, they're gleaning the homeless. They're picking up the ones that are easy to pay $300 a month. She told me herself she anticipates a $300,000 profit. How do nonprofits make a profit? I was asked to write a plan for the Maxwell's curriculum, environmental planning, and scheduling of their children's center. I did so. I have copies of that. I was told it was for Mr. Wibbs, then later told he did not know there were multiple children in this camp. I taught school 4 months in the middle of the camp. I was offered a full-time job with benefits and then assaulted by Laura Kennedy in the camp, grabbing me by the arms, squeezing my arms, refusing to let me go. I cried out loud to let me go. There were children coming up to me, a naked camper in the camp, Duke. I wanted out of there. I wanted the children out of there. This is a letter of apology from Mr. Wibbs and thanking me for helping the children in the camp, who they all got clothes, they all got ice chests full of milk, they all got taught while they were in that camp. Statistically, I have the list of 40 campers. They're your brothers, your sisters, your mothers. 40 people went through that camp. They housed 4. 17 were kicked out by Melissa Marie Johnson. 8 were left in the camp on 6/10 when I was told by Mr. Wibbs I was no longer welcome. After she grabbed me, 8 housed themselves, and the promises were made to 2 families that they would get their first and last month's rent. Then they were told no, they get nothing. All of these people followed what Melissa Marie Johnson said and got nothing. And I'm begging you, please help me find a discretionary fund for 1 family. Dad is working at Marine, West Marine. He maintained his job through Melissa lying to him. He got an infection in his head from swimming in the water. They all got COVID, and they're all in my living room right now. 2 kids, 14 and 17 years old, trying to register at Escambia High School, now are going to lose the house that their parents secured because of Melissa Marie Johnson lied to them. I put $1,000 into the camp. I have every receipt. I put 9 bikes into that camp. I bought 3 for opening doors that was never acknowledged. I don't know what else to say, except you're going to lose all your volunteers. I am a mother of 6, grandmother of 9, bike angel to the state of California. I put over $300,000 worth of bikes and helmets into Lake County, California. I sit on the County Office of Emergency Services. I work with all the police, all the sheriffs, everybody in California. And I moved here and I wanted to help. And this is what I got.
Well, we appreciate you coming and sharing your story tonight. I think some of those entities are going to request money from us, so it's good that I think we need to look into all these allegations.
And yes, sir.
Yeah.
And if you've got a discretionary fund, somebody I will give you any time, and I have homeless people that would love to talk to any of the commissioners. They're just scared to death to do it here. They are happy to speak with you guys and on the phone about Camp SOS, which was a lie. It's REAP Camp 1. I was lied to right off the bat. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, when we put this on the committee of the whole, I'd love to have her back.
Yeah, you
further
gotta come to our
discuss-
committee of the
You
whole
come to the
discussion.
committee of the whole, please.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. And we'll show any support.
Please help me with this one family in my living room, please.
Okay. All right. Mark Horn.
Mark Horn, 1,000 Watson Street, or Watson Avenue, Pensacola Heights. I used to be a director at There Is Hope with Caleb Houston. We split ways after he went a different way with his proposal. But I just want to back up what Candy is saying. A lot of what she's saying is very, very true. I've known Candy for probably like 3-4 years now. She has a booth at the Palafox Market. My wife has a booth at the Palafox Market, so that's how I know her. She has a heart of gold, and I just want to say that there's a lot of well, there's not very many people that have a heart of gold like Candy, and those kind of people are being abused, and they're going to become few and fewer and fewer, and your problem's going to get larger and larger. And then on the other side, the homeless people, they're getting exploited and exploited and exploited. And this is, you can't squeeze these kind of people. You know, they need help, and they need to be able to trust people. And just with what's going on, it's going to be really hard for them to trust help, and it's going to be really hard for people to help if you have people like that. I try to bring attention to it when it was at the city level, just to get gaslit like from Laura Kennedy, Melissa Johnson. I was on the board of another nonprofit. When we found out that she was taking money, Laura Kennedy came in there, and she's really good with paperwork. She's really good with this and that. All of a sudden, she was president, and she just swept it all under the rug. I think that's why her and Melissa Johnson are like this. I used to go under the bridge to try to help people. I'd hear stories, you know, like what she said, Laura Kennedy's house is just full of donations. Yeah, and she's seen it. Their head person down there who was homeless himself, I had a talk with him, and he was just honest. He's like, look, I take all the good stuff to her house, and then they take it to somewhere else, and I want to say somewhere in Milton, and kind of sell it. I don't know, but that's what I heard. Either way, it's a problem. It's a big problem, and I just hope that these guys don't get any more money, because the money that is dispersed needs to go to where it needs to go. This isn't a place where it can be exploited. This isn't, you know, so that's it. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm really nervous right now, so.
You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. Kevin Wade, then Larry Downs Jr.
Kevin Wade, 413 Southeast Bowlitz. Manny Works gave back like $2 million so as not to work with John Johnson. That's a privilege. All of us in this room are privileged. I feel privileged to sit next to Candy and Mel. See y'all in the halls. $300 to get into Maxwell Center? Like, how many of us are privileged to have never had that in our consciousness before? All of us in this room, pretty much, most of us, understand deep down that continuum of care isn't something that we put to words. This is our community. This is our family. This is the groups that we help. Continuum continuum of care being the teams that we go ahead and sponsor and teach and coach. And I heard continuum of care over and over again for months now as it's a thing or a person or a job title. And it wasn't until recently I learned that continuum of care is kind of a position that HUD mandates as a funnel for grants and funding. And now we have a John Johnson who is a continuum of care, which definitely struck me odd. Recently, there was one of the homeless task forces did a sleepover or something, and from South Florida, they brought in a ringer who told them about how homeless issues and the money, and explained that continuum care is a person who, or a group who are the funneler for grants for those who are helping further down the line, is what I understand. And what they said was, you have a person who is a continuum of care, who is both the caregiver and the funnel. And this is antithesis to how this should work.
Yep. Thank you very much, Kevin. Final speaker, Larry Downs Jr.
Hello, hello. I always try to bring the other aspect to it, you know. I happen to have two family members, both of them are my nephews. They're homeless. They've never held steady jobs. It's by their own doing. I mean, you can't make a horse drink water. Same thing here. I had all the opportunities that every one of us Downs men had. 30 years old, 26 years old, and they're out there on the street bumming. Since 1960, Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty Welfare Act, it's been estimated that we have spent, or that our government has taken from the workers who produce, something like $22 trillion. $22 trillion. Now, this is just 4 more million of it, right? And we can get some more and get some more. However, we have more and more homeless. We have more and more poverty. So obviously, the common denominator, it must be taken from someone who works and given to someone who doesn't. I know the heart, emotions, feelings. I know that it's hard to convince people that this is doing more damage, more harm than good. Milton Friedman said it great. He said it often. So did Thomas Sowell, so did Walter Williams, and many others. But that doesn't sell. Speaking truth like that doesn't sell votes, doesn't buy votes, doesn't sell anything. But emotions and rewarding failure, including the family, including splitting up the family with carrots. Here's a carrot. Same things happen to the black families, to white families, and even now to Hispanic families, which were one of the tightest. But if you just keep handing them carrots, and then of course the corruption around it. These nonprofits, you listen to all of them. They're going to come up here and pitch you all the stuff. They're going to pitch you everything. Hey, we can do this, we can do that. We're going to solve the problem. Meanwhile, y'all can't solve the problem. These nonprofits can't solve the problem. The people can't solve the problem because y'all have enabled not y'all particularly, but government overall has enabled more and more rewarding failure. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the last speaker, and we had a thorough discussion on that. We're going to bring that to a committee of the whole next month. Next month's committee of the whole, not next week's, but next month. That way we get all the data. All right, that's it for that. And Allison, your item, you're up, County Attorney.
Yes, sir, I have one item requesting board authorization for travel in October.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote. Yes.
Before you go,
Well, Robert's got his add-on too. We'll do that after.
okay, Robert, go ahead. I just have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that passes 4-0. Commissioner Underhill, not here. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Wes, is there any update on the construction, alleged fraud with banks and all those people for the citizens? I mean, I meant to ask that this morning. Where are we on that? I got a couple phone calls this morning after our meeting. Where are we in terms of the citizens who got defrauded on the construction?
Well, internally, there was a meeting held with Building Services and Tim Tolbert, based on some of the direction that the board gave at the last meeting, and we are working to implement some of those suggestions, not all of them. As far as the case itself, I know, I'm not sure where the state's attorney is with it. I'm hearing that maybe there's a look-see from the state's attorney. From a criminal standpoint, we've revoked his license or pulled his license, so he doesn't have a license. I'm not saying that that's a guarantee that he's not working. I know we had a call yesterday, and I know our building official made a trip to investigate and didn't find anything particularly wrong with what was going on. So internally, we're working to get information out, guide some of our citizens in how to proceed with contractors. When we get complaints, make those complaints available on our websites, so have a resource where the citizens can go and see which contractors have complaints, what type of complaints. Just because a contractor gets a complaint doesn't necessarily mean it's legitimate. So we want to make sure that we move with caution as we publicize that information. But
those two contractors are no longer pulling permits, correct?
Is Tim here? No, they're not. They're not pulling permits.
Is there any recourse for those citizens who are taking advantage of? Do we have anything implemented at this point?
Commissioner, not that I'm aware of. Not from a county standpoint.
Okay, that's fine. And Jeff, I want to have a further discussion about that.
Yeah, me too.
All those citizens who were defrauded are citizens that each of us represent.
Absolutely.
And so at the end of the day, if the competency board was negligent or in their due diligence of being more proactive, at the end of the day, it falls on this board. There are people who have lost their life savings, and they've lost everything, and they're distraught and they're hurt and they're confused, and we have a responsibility to do what we can for those citizens. I mean, we can't just say, well, it's over. It's not over, because those people are suffering. Some of those people, I mean, that's their only investment is their home,
right,
for their children, and so we can't leave those people hanging. And so I want to have that conversation of what can we do to help remedy it and to aggressively go after those who defrauded those citizens. And so at some point, I mean, it's maybe not today, I mean, because maybe it's in litigation, Wes, or maybe we're still investigating, but I can't in good conscience continue to sit here and just blame the competency board when I have authority over the competency board. We can fire every last one of them. We can fire every last staff person. We can get rid of all of them at the end of the day. And so I have a responsibility to those citizens who have, tarps at the end of their house, or their house is exposed to weather, or they no longer can even get insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, because someone did incomplete work on their house and they don't know what to do each and every day, and their kids are waking up to a house, that doesn't have HVAC or doesn't have heat, because we allowed for someone to continue to do what they wanted to do. And so for me, I find great issue with it, and at some point, I want to bring that back to the board.
Let's do it. We'll discuss it. We'll figure out what options we have. Maybe we can get money from the legislature. I mean, you never know what we could do.
So, from somewhere.
Yeah.
But they vote for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they expect for us. That's why we pull permits, that's why we're here. And so
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna, no one on the Competency Board ever put their name on a ballot.
Nope.
And they never knocked on one door to get elected. And so I don't care who likes me, who doesn't like me, who does whatever. I'm gonna represent the people that put me on the
Absolutely.
ballot.
No, I think you're going to have support on that, Commissioner May. Yes,
Commissioner May,
Robert?
on that, as I said in the last meeting, I sent the file over to DPPR. My understanding is, based on the email traffic I saw, was that it was in the hands of the secretary that evening. So I do know that it has the attention of DBPR. I know that one of their state representatives was at the meeting. I think he got a pretty good earful from those that were there. And it sounds like, in talking with Tim this afternoon, or right before the meeting, I know he would like to do another one of those.
Right.
And, he said, hopefully we can get DBPR there again, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that DBPR is there again, so.
No, and Robert, I appreciate it, and, listen, I'm a state certified general contractor, I'm a state certified home inspector, I hold multiple licenses. The reality of it is, for DPR and all of our friends in Tallahassee, they don't go to Walmart, they don't eat out downtown, they don't go to church, they don't go to Little League parks. We do, and those people that we bump into every day are expecting something. They don't have access to DPR, they don't have it to the secretary, they don't have it to Tallahassee, they have access to their county commissioners. And so for me to have no action, is a default. There's going to be some action from this board, as far as I'm concerned, about what happened to the citizens of Escambia County. I can't worry about Santa Rosa, but I am going to worry about people in District 3 that were taken advantage of. So I do appreciate that, and I agree, and I think there are going to be sanctions, but I'm not going to wait on the state to come take care of the people that elect me. So, but I appreciate all of that.
Mr. Barrett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so they did have, Wes mentioned that Tim went out to investigate an issue yesterday. There was a gentleman from DBPR that went as well yesterday afternoon with Tim, I believe. Either went with him or met him there. I do believe a lot of the investigative things have been handed to the Department of Agriculture. I do believe that's where a lot of the resources lie currently. I know that Wes and Allison have had either 2 or 3 meetings with Tim about making sure that the board's discussion and the board's direction is implemented. So what I would expect is, we've got, I think we missed 2 weeks. I think we're together in 3 weeks, maybe. I believe that's correct.
Yep.
I would expect in that, in that meeting that there would be some procedural changes that, Allison, that's a reasonable expectation that we can bring some of these changes that we've been talking about to that meeting.
Yeah, I had an email from Jennifer Hampton earlier today, and I think some of those things that the board discussed at its last meeting have occurred or are already underway.
Okay. I think it would be valuable to, to Lumen and, to, everybody's point that's spoken, to, at that meeting, bring back what's been done, and then what's, if there's, A, B, and C, and A is done, B is done, and C is going to take, it is going to take 2 more weeks to be done. A little bit of a timeline for what, for what's been done, what's on the, immediate horizon, and then what, what type of discussion, or based on the discussion the board's had, what other changes did it sound like we wanted that would take board action? Because that's when we'll be together, and I'm presuming that some parts, if we make some, if we do make some substantial changes, some parts of that is going to take board action, I would assume.
Well, potentially. If you're wanting to do anything with your ordinances, of course, we'd need to bring that back.
I think there is, if I were the two of y'all, I would perceive that there is an appetite for substantial changes that would, those involving board action as well. I think there's appetite for that amongst those of us that are here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Commissioner, I think that's crystal clear.
Right on. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I know you'll be transitioning out, and I think, obviously, we have a new commissioner that we'll be replacing, but certainly, we've certainly had alterations on the rotation.
Oh, yeah,
And so I
absolutely.
certainly want to make sure that that's clear
Yeah.
as we move forward. I certainly wouldn't want to throw a new person in the lion's den,
Yes.
on the first day. So I think when Commissioner Berry and I were first elected, that's why you have 3 sitting next to 5, because you had to
Yeah, we have
change it. So hopefully,
Yeah.
3 can move and 5 can follow, and then we keep the rotation and you
Yeah.
come at the end.
I
It's
think
what I
we-
would expect that would happen.
We probably need to discuss that as we get closer, but yeah, I think that's definitely something that we can do. I think that makes sense.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert, your item?
All right, thank you, Jeff. So as I said, this came up, I was told after a public forum of the opportunity to get some aerials. And I would say it's definitely a need that we have in the county. My request tonight would be to authorize Eric to put forth a letter of intent regarding whatever we decide, if it's 1, 2, but I believe the deadline is Wednesday. It's of next week, so 6 days out. We would be allowed to, would bring all the details and actually take an official vote on it then with the backup. It is off of a contract that we've purchased previous equipment off of. And
We'll be together on the 6th. Could we add that to our agenda on the 6th?
What you need to do is, if we want, because there's no question for this to be binding, the board has to make a finding that this is a legitimate piggyback under your procurements code, and you're then being bound to contract terms that have, that I'm not sure what those are. So you need to have this voted on officially. I would suggest you could schedule a special board meeting at 9 a.m. and, it may only take 2 minutes,
Nope.
but
No, we'll do it at, what time is our first public, we can do it at 5 o'clock. Our first public hearing is at 5:30. We're not going to do a morning and an afternoon.
Oh, I was thinking.
Budget
Oh,
hearing
that's
on the
right, that's
6th.
right. I was thinking,
We got Tuesday, we got a budget hearing.
Yeah, why don't we,
all right, hold on.
I was thinking of the
sorry.
committee of the whole, I'm sorry.
Well, I was, yeah, and I apologize, I forgot about the.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I forgot. I'm very excited about seeing you gentlemen
I
again.
thought we were going to see each other.
No,
Oh, no, I love y'all so much.
we,
I really want to thank
you,
y'all.
okay, so you,
I love being here.
the budget hearing is very scripted. Please do not mess up your budget hearing
no, we're not
with
going to,
this.
but what I'm saying is we could schedule something.
Do it
like-
before,
yeah, 10
right
minutes
before, or something like that, yeah.
15 minutes before.
Absolutely. But just don't make it part of the actual.
Yeah, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Yeah, yes, definitely.
Commissioners, if I may.
Yes.
If the best way to do it would be have it at the very end. Let's have our budget hearing, and then at the very end, we can add like a number 7 or number 8 or whichever the next item is, just for this item, but it would be.
I'd rather have a special board meeting before the budget workshop or after, but I don't really like the idea of messing with anything in the budget hearing.
Correct, we need to be 5:30, 5:31.
Okay.
So we can do it at the end.
5:30?
Somehow I've got it at 8, so is it 5 or 5:30?
5:31 is our scheduled budget hearing.
We'll do this at 5:20.
Yeah.
5:20. Schedule me for 5:20.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that.
I mean, if we're a few minutes late for the budget hearing, it doesn't matter, right? As long as we don't.
As
start
long as it's
before.
I'll drop the
Yeah.
item then, if we can call a special meeting for next week then.
Yeah,
to
and
discuss
why
the
don't we
item,
just do that?
and
We'll
then
just do
get
it at
extra-
5:20. And then we'll have all the backup then. She'll have the
Yep, yep,
contract.
yep.
We'll know if it's
Sounds
going to piggyback.
Assuming that to be the case, yes.
Yep.
Okay,
All
and
right,
then
so
we can-
Eric, you got some work to do over the next 4 days? Thank you.
All right, does that solve the issue for you, Robert?
Works for me.
Okay, so no other items added to the agenda? If there's not anything else for the good of the order, I'm not seeing any lights, we're adjourned.